Rochester, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Ambers. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Gene's a big timer, a social misfit. Clueless to the title of the biggest buskeg hits. Chuck Muncie's goons have the last say. So thanks for your time, Mr. Mayo. Danger likes his cold ones and he likes his bears. But this is Rochester, cute Francesa.
Oh, who cares?
He's critical of Sean, he's critical of Alan. Of course he married Sandy, cause she's Italian. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Do we have extracurricular activity already happening in the sports bar before we even get started? What's going on in here?
We just have a live studio audience. That's all we have today.
Oh, okay. So Pizza Dude's in here. Your computer not working?
Again. No, it's good. We just under the wire. I'll be up here.
We're good? Okay. And Pizza Dude in here firing off takes like Home Improvement is not a good show. Did you say it?
First. He said it first.
Both of you.
No, I said it was a terrible show.
Terrible show.
Yeah.
Confession time in the sports bar?
You love the show.
No. I don't think I watched a single episode of that show. You heard me. You give me that look like, yeah, what alien are? Yeah, I don't think I've ever watched a single episode of the Tim Allen classic show, the classic Tim Allen sitcom, Home Improvement. All right, you guys are good?
We're good.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it. There you go. Welcome into the sports bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. Pizza Dude, and you've been in here firing off takes right before we go on the air. Get me all distracted.
It's something with the settings in the computer after Joe Capogreco touches it on a Sunday. But you know what? If it means we play Italian music on a Monday, I'm totally fine with that.
All right. Because
we didn't get to do this last week.
If it wasn't for Joe Capogreco and the Italian carousel, we wouldn't be able to enjoy, with the way that we do, we wouldn't be able to enjoy a Victory Monday with the sounds of Bruno Martino. We wouldn't be able to kick our feet up after the Bills' dispatch of the Lions the way that they did. It's a Victory Monday in the sports bar. You know what would be some next level trolling by our friend Joe Capogreco, Mike Moran? Next level trolling would be, and I only know this because I've done this, the file that has Bruno Martino saved here in our computer system, you replace that file with something we don't expect.
No. Don't give them any ideas.
So the next time we go to play a little Bruno Martino on a Victory Monday, it ends up being like some like 2 Live Crew, Me So Horny. Completely throw us off our game. It is a Victory Monday, and we welcome you into the sports bar, and we appreciate you making us part of your afternoon. Thanks for listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950. You can check us out where we sound our best, the free-to-download Odyssey app. That's Audacy. We're on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan, and we've even got our stream up now on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester. We're streaming on Twitch at The Fan Rochester as well. Like and subscribe while you are there. We've got a great show lined up for you as we react to yesterday's win in Detroit.
So 4 o'clock hour today, we'll talk to Nate Geary, Buffalo Bills Radio Network, taking your calls every post game. We'll get Nate's take. And then coming back from Detroit, I'm not sure where he is in transit right now, but 13 Wham and Buffalo Plus's Mike Catalana coming up at the bottom of the hour. So we're very Bills heavy on the show today. And of course, you can join us at any point. 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
Yeah, I'd love to get your calls because I think there's a lot of people with a lot of explosive reaction to yesterday's game. There's a lot of people that love that the Bills went in there and did what they did to Detroit. There's a lot of people that are still saying, oh, God, that's 2 games in a row that this defense has given up over 40 points. There's a lot of people that believe that this cements the case for Josh Allen to be the league's MVP. There's a lot of people that believe that the Bills still have a really good chance, given the circumstances in the AFC, of getting the 1 seed. There's still a lot to play for, but one thing we know is that the next 3 weeks for the Buffalo Bills, their schedule is far easier than any other team we're going to be talking about in this race.
Far easier, and yet danger. Yet again, we don't expect to be competitive. Bills in New England. If you didn't hear the announcement from earlier today, they flex this game. 4:25 now. It's going into the late afternoon window. CBS deciding, do we want a Niners team that's out of it against a Dolphin team that's out of it? Now let's give ourselves some Josh Allen.
That's right. He's become must-see TV, and when he delivers the way he delivers, they will flex him into a more prime slot. So the Bills game getting moved from the 1 o'clock kickoff in Orchard Park to 4:25. On CBS. The Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line is open for you at 866-4FAN. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub at 135 West Commercial Street in ER. GoodSmokeBBQ.com.
Yeah, let's start off with your calls. And again, I read something, Danger, in my feed. The Bills need to fire Babbage. They could. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, I don't know. You've lost only 3 games on the season. You have a chance to be the 1. At worst, you're going to be the number 2, which means you would only have to go to Arrowhead. I think it's a day that you kind of smile, right? You hung 48 on Detroit, even though they're a banged-up Detroit team. Starting us off, Tim in San Diego. What's
There's
up,
our
buddy?
guy.
Well, I mean, the Bills are banged up, too, and 2 reasons I watched Home Improvement were Pamela Anderson and Debbie Dunning. So that's,
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Right. Exactly right.
Anyway, got that out of the way. And also, you should check out Richard Cheese and Lounge Against the Machine.
Oh, big fan. Big
okay,
fan.
You know, okay,
big
good.
fan.
Good.
Yeah.
Good to hear. He's a local San Diego guy, so
Love
good to
that
hear.
guy.
You hit it right on the head. I mean, they're not going to fire Bobby Babbage. I mean, Bills were just as depleted in the secondary. I mean, it just turns out the Lions were worse with their injuries, and it was very apparent. But I mean, this isn't a defense that is saying, okay, we can go deep in the playoffs right now. I mean, again, the running defense last week. This week it's been the secondary. I mean, when the Bills are healthy, yeah, that's probably they definitely have a shot. But it's just right now, and some of McDermott's calling that timeout with a minute 53 left. Let's let the offense get organized. It was just. His in-game decisions still are baffling, but hey, they came out with the win. But going forward, I mean, the D-line has to really step up, and they did yesterday. Ed Oliver had a great day. I think he read some of the storylines about him not performing well this year, so he kind of had a little chip on his shoulder. It was great to see. But overall, that's where it starts, right there with the D-line, and they just need to get better pressure, more pressure. I like the way that they blitzed a couple times yesterday. I think they should do that more. But you don't see that much from the Buffalo defense. Other than that, let's move on to New England. I don't know why they flexed it, but like you said, Josh Allen, must-see TV. So, but division games are always tough, no matter what the records are. So I don't expect it to be easy this week.
Yeah. Tim, thanks. Great call to start us off.
I do, by the way. I do expect it to be easy. Yeah, I know it's a divisional game, but what are we doing?
No, you know what I don't expect to be easy? The Jets. Because all of a sudden the Jets now, like Mr. Selfish, is starting to show up because he realizes, oh, gosh, if I want to play in this league, I better start performing here. We'll get to that, later on here. But as far as the Patriots this week, why did they flex this game? Well, once upon a time, the Bills were in the middle of the drought, and they flexed that to Sunday Night Football. Why? Because the Patriots were the story. The Patriots were going for an undefeated season. The Patriots smacked the Bills. It was 51 points, I think they put up that night, to the point where they were chanting A-hole, A-hole, the whole time. It was just a bad night for Bills fans. And now the world has changed here a little bit, where this is the reason. Because we want to see the Bills. And if you want to see the Bills beat up on the Patriots, that's going to draw a better rating than whatever else we can trot out there for you.
I dropped this nugget on the neighborhood text thread. You know my neighborhood, right? I've talked about these guys before.
Timmy
Parmesan, Tony
and
Nikki
Tony
B,
and
Tony, Joey Dryer Sheets, Tony Syracuse, Tony, Doug.
I like the dryer sheet name the best because his wife said, go get dryer sheets, and he had to leave in the middle of one of your card games or something.
Yeah. Tommy, there's Rob the Takesman. Yeah. I'm forgetting somebody.
Tony.
Oh, and Nikki G and Tony. Yeah. NFL coaches with 5 consecutive seasons of 11-plus wins. You know the list, Gino. Do you know the list?
Because I saw the stat today. It's Belichick, Dungy, Reed, and Sean Payton. And now joining the club.
I don't know that Sean Payton's on the list. I've got 5 coaches. I've got maybe Payton's on the list. I didn't have Payton. I had Belichick. I had Reed. I had Dungy. I had Tom Landry, and Sean
Tom
McDermott.
Landry. Okay.
Yeah. And when you see that list, it's clear one of those things is not like the other, right? You look at it, and you're like, okay, everybody there has won a Super Bowl. Sean McDermott has yet to do that, so he doesn't have the ring. And as impressive as the franchise turnaround has been under his hand, you can point to at least one occasion in almost every game where his management is questionable. It's what it makes Tim in San Diego in a winning effort still say, like, what the hell? And a lot of times the win will mask that incompetency. You could look at yesterday's end of the first half. You could look at the goal line situations yesterday where, you end up missing a chip shot field goal. But if you are somebody that calls into this show or somebody that just believes that Sean McDermott needs to go or that Bobby Babich needs to go, I've got news for you. McDermott's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. Imagine the team losing in the wild card round of the playoffs, the worst case scenario, right, for this team this season. You won't like it, but McDermott will be safe. He will be back. He's not going anywhere.
Okay, question for you or anybody else in the neighborhood, Shane. And I'm saying you because you tweeted this out. Are we upset they didn't put up 50? Is that really what we're talking about?
I was joking.
Is that what we're talking about?
I was joking
No, you're not
last week.
talking. It's like, oh my gosh, why did you call that play? I can't believe. Look, last week against the Rams, you just flicked away the number 1 seed in the NFC like a bug. And I can, right on cue, give me 30 seconds here, Danger. This is true in every NFL market. It is. It is. Until Andy Reid won in Kansas City, there were detractors in Kansas City, most certainly Philadelphia. In New England, most certainly. You better believe in Pittsburgh. Whenever they lose to a lesser opponent, it's because Mike Tomlin fosters that environment. Everyone, be better.
I think this is a byproduct of having a successful organization, of having a winning organization, a winning team. That you see the wins and you want more. And it doesn't matter, no matter where you are. You mentioned it. You mentioned, Tomlin. You mentioned, you can mention Reed. You can mention Harbaugh in Baltimore. There are people in Baltimore that want John Harbaugh gone. There are certainly Steeler fans that would like to see Mike Tomlin lose his job because it's year in and year out of the same thing, that there's in-game question marks. I was joking last week. I thought, hey, they're going to have to score 49 to beat Detroit. I didn't know they were going to actually have to score 48 to beat Detroit. I'm satisfied with the win. I was watching the game yesterday. I'm like, guys, slow it down a little bit. Save some for the turf in New Orleans. You're giving up all your secrets against this team. They look great offensively, but there were still some moments in the game where you're like, oh, guys, what are we doing here? Like,
what?
The win would win masks a lot of things.
What were the moments yesterday? If you want to be upset that they didn't have Douglas and Hamlin and like they were shorthanded yesterday.
No, I was talking more about their goal line decision making, the missed. I mean, we'd be talking a lot of Tyler Bass today.
Well,
we'd be talking a lot of Tyler Bass today.
You can't be missing 24. There's no other solution right now. If there was, you'd have him already on the team. Like, this is going to be somewhere they spend the draft pick late next year, and you move on from Tyler Bass. Although, like he misses the 24-yarder, and he hits a 50-yarder.
But can you, Gino? Maybe I was only half paying attention, but what was the end of the first half? Do we understand what was going on at the end of the first half? Why they didn't take the shot with the Hail Mary down the field?
I think that it's not McDermott unless McDermott overrides Joe Brady on a situation like that. I would have put everybody back, but when you're doing that, maybe and again, I'm just theorizing. If you're going to have Josh Allen run around back there, you don't want him taking an unnecessary hit. You saw Khalil Shakir last week go essentially 50 yards on a pass over the middle. So maybe that's what they were thinking. They're trying to set up some sort of lateral play.
I'll tell you what. I mean, I thought Joe Brady called one hell of a game. I mean, the way he schemed up Ty Johnson early in the game, the way he took advantage of the mismatch between Bills receivers and the Lions linebackers, it was fantastic. And he stayed aggressive, all game long. So I think Brady has elevated himself into the hot coaching commodity conversation. If he wasn't already, there are going to be people talking about Joe Brady to be the next head coach of X franchise here come this offseason.
As they should, because what's the big difference between Josh Allen this year and last year? He's not turning the ball over. He's making good decisions.
And much like it's almost like it was a bizarro week. Everything that we saw last week happened this week, except the Bills were the Rams this week.
Right.
You have one turnover, right? The St. Brown fumble. You exchange missed field goals, but I think it comes down to that one turnover. I know a lot of people are going to talk about the onside kick. I actually have some thoughts on the onside kick with 12 minutes to go, and Dan Campbell. But really, for me, it was that one turnover that the Bills got that the Lions didn't, and that to me turned out to be the difference in the game.
Well, you brought up the onside kick. Here are my thoughts on the onside kick. That's a head coach that sometimes puts his brand before what's best. See the NFC Championship game. That's a little questionable. Like at that point, you want to just burn the clock, get the heck out of there. We've done it all year by going for fourth down. You don't need to live by that rule. That is not, in the Bible there, so to speak. That was sort of that yesterday, Danger. That was sort of, I don't know if we can actually stop Josh Allen, so this is our best chance here is try to sneak out an extra possession.
Yeah, and I think that's what it comes down to, the idea of getting an extra position and the idea of preserving time because, you were going to run out of it. And much like the Bills last week against the Rams, the Lions were in desperation mode. They were desperate because they knew our defense isn't stopping anything, and it looks as if we can do whatever we want offensively as well. We just need extra possessions. If we get extra possessions, we can win this game. And they didn't have enough. But, boy, I'll tell you what. I was still on the edge of my seat with that second onside kick where you didn't know, are we going to get a Hail Mary situation here at the end of the game? Because we've seen this movie before. So even at the very end, it didn't feel comfortable to me. They get the win, and it still didn't feel comfortable to me. But a fantastic game. I mean, are you not entertained? The Bills have just been an exceptional watch the last 2 weeks.
Well, a big difference this week, too. When we identified this and part of it was the game got away from you a little bit, they established the run. You only handed it off to James Cook 14 times, 105 yards. That is production. Ty Johnson, 114 yards, your leading receiver? When does that happen? You have two different running backs leading in those categories? It was just an unbelievable day. How many different players received a pass from Josh Allen? Amari Cooper didn't, but there were 9 other guys on the team.
9 times.
The balance was there. The running was there. The Bills were scoring at will, with the exception of the last sequence there before the end of the first half where, we're going to nitpick. Sure, that would be the one.
Oliver had his best game of the season. Tim brought his name up, and I think we should cement that. I mean, Ed Oliver has, maybe he got called out. Maybe his manhood was challenged this week by Sean McDermott. But whatever it was, he was a beast. He was what you want him to be. 4 total tackles. He gets a sack, 3 quarterback hits. He forced a fumble. Ed Oliver had himself an afternoon in Detroit. And speaking of Detroit, offensively, early in the game, when Gibbs had the football in his hand, I don't know if you felt the way I felt, but I didn't think that there was any way they would go away from Gibbs. Gibbs has so much speed that the Bills had no answer for. There's just no answer for a lot of defenses when you're talking about guys fast as Gibbs, yet they kind of abandoned the run game, much like the Bills did last week against the Rams, and it was head-scratching to me.
Yeah, Gibbs was, when we look back, that was the pick. Why is Detroit doing that? They don't need a running back. That's silly. You shouldn't. Well, that guy is so good, and there were a few times where he just made the Bills' defense look kind of silly there. So, Yeah, the Bills' run defense not great yesterday. One of those injuries we're going to have to monitor. Matt Milano leaving the game with a groin injury. So when you're down 2 safeties and a corner and then a linebacker where you have Balin Spector out there for a lot, it was not ideal yesterday for Buffalo. And to your point on that last onside kick, well, what is the percentage this year? It's what, 10? Not even. Like it's very, very low, the chance that you're going to get an onside kick. So I would question, what would they be saying in Detroit today? You took 2 timeouts to the grave. I mean, like that's the way I'm watching that whole sequence. It could have saved so much time toward the end. They did not. They were playing like they had an extra 3-4 minutes there, Danger. It was really kind of strange.
I think to myself with the onside kick and the rule change that you have to now announce the onside kick, and I wondered, did Dan Campbell know that you have to announce the onside kick before attempting the onside kick? It's a low percentage play when you surprise a team with it, let alone when you make the announcement, hey, we're going to go onside with this. And yet at the end of the game there, I'm like, thank God for Taron Johnson, because that was potentially, again, another situation where we would be holding our breath for the final play with Jared Goff launching a Scud missile into the end zone in a Hail Mary attempt. Nobody wants to see that.
Terrible take, Timmy. Average Taron Johnson. He's an average player. I love our regulars. Like Taron Johnson made an exquisite hit on St. Brown also in this game, dislodging the ball. And then all of a sudden I see the tweets. Oh, average. A guy, like if you make a bad take in the sports bar, sometimes people won't let it go.
People will not forget. Yeah. People will not forget. All right, let's check in with Mike Catalano. I believe he's on the way back from Detroit. We will get his thoughts on the Bills getting the win against the Lions, what the rest of the season looks like here for Buffalo as they prepare for a postseason run. Mike Catalano, 13WM Sports Director, the Hall of Famer.
We should also mention that Terry Pagula flew to Montreal.
I saw this.
Yeah, and if you're thinking there's going to be any changes, no. It's the vote of confidence for GM Kevin Adams and the head coach Lindy Ruff and the players.
Yeah, no trades, not expecting any trades. Sell the team. Sell the team. If he's being sincere, and he's telling everybody involved that the answers to these problems are in the locker room, sell the team. We're done. I'm done. I'm finished. Are you finished?
I don't think we're. Every second we talk about the Sabres, I'm nervous because I could hear somebody say, "Okay, well,
yeah, we'll get back to the Bills. Let's talk about something more uplifting." Mike Catalano, 13WM Sports, BuffaloPlus.com. Next.
FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Brought to you by Bob's Discount Furniture. Seeking stress-free holiday shopping? When you holiday the Bob's way, you can snag incredible values on fabulous festive finds for every room and great gifts at every budget. So stop by your local store or visit mybobs.com and see how much you can save when you dare to compare with Bob's Discount Furniture.
The Fan, Rochester. Sports Update.
Game time change for this week. Bills and Patriots at Highmark has been moved now to 4:25. The Bills now at 11-3 on the season. Following the wild win in Detroit, Josh Allen looks to be the favorite now for MVP. Allen says it's another way to win a game.
Well, again, we're just trying to find ways to win, and this is going to help us in the long run. But still, a lot of things that we can learn from this game, take away. Still, offensively, I think we need to find some more. There's too many plays we left out there. So I know it's to nitpick a game like that where you score 48 sounds kind of dumb, but still feel like we left some out there.
13 Wham and Buffalo Plus's Mike Catalana scheduled to join us next year in the Sports Bar. Week 15 concludes tonight with two games, Bears and Vikings, Falcons and Raiders. Terry Pegula flew to Montreal today, giving the Sabres a vote of confidence. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, The Fan, Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
I think you got to have it. I think we've shown, that we do have it over the years. We take pride in that. That's Buffalo, baby, right? It is. It's the magic of Buffalo is how I look at it. And, it gives me chills even saying it because our community, our fans, they don't get enough respect. They really don't. I know people talk about the Mafia, but it's not enough. And it goes beyond the Mafia. It's the people of Buffalo, the communities, Western New York. Just a lot of heart, a lot of desire, a lot of, just to me, work ethic. And I think this team personifies our community. I really believe that.
There's Sean McDermott, post-game, talking about whether or not this team has that it factor to go all the way and how it's kind of taken on the identity of Western New York. In your sports update there, the Josh Allen soundbite, I think it kind of goes to a little bit of what we were talking about, right? It sounds silly to nitpick, but even the quarterback, winning effort is saying, yeah, there's some plays we left out on the field. We got to get better than,
That's the final 2 minutes of the first half.
Right. But there are things that when you see it happen, and we see it happen almost consistently, even in winning efforts, it's like, okay, why? What happened there? What was that? And even the quarterback will be the first to say, we need to be better there. We need to nip it. You win, you score 48 points. We shouldn't have anything to complain about, and I'm not complaining. They're in a great spot right now to still do the thing that we said a week ago. No, they're not going to get the 1 seed. No chance.
No, but the bigger picture being here, until they actually do it, not get to the Super Bowl, trust me, win the Super Bowl. You know how I know, Danger? Because I grew up in this area. I grew up during the Super Bowl era, and Marv Levy is still with us. Marv Levy had all sorts of detractors. Marv, great coach, can't win the big one. Yeah, clamps up, whatever it was, undisciplined. When you're mentioning Sean McDermott in the same company as Tom Landry and Bill Belichick, it's like, wow, that puts into focus. It's hard to win games in this league. Everybody knows that. So why hasn't it happened yet?
Or is this it?
Is this it?
Is this it?
Is this it?
Can we suspend our belief, our preconceived notions, our unconscious bias that we have towards this head coach and say, you know what, the way that offense looked on that fast track in Detroit, how good would that look in New Orleans?
How good? Right. You're not going to see, 30 points, I would say, these last three games. Couple of reasons. One, the weather, okay. Two, just the pace of the game. You might shut these guys actually down this week or next week. But when it gets to those games, and I would include also if you have to go to Arrowhead, I would just ask any Bills fan this question, 866-4326, because we've been so focused on the number one seed, and sat down. I felt like I was doing homework yesterday watching Chiefs and Browns, okay? My son had, we don't get the tickets, so my son had Cowboys. I'm like, no, get that off, okay? No.
We got to study.
We need to study. Let's watch the Chiefs here. And like watching this, and it's just the Jameis Winston experience. He didn't have any of it yesterday. That was the Chiefs did what they had to do. They're winning games, but until that actually happens, Sean McDermott will have his detractors. Again, I don't want to call out particular callers, but I'm going to do it in this instance. But the next time Luke from Rochester calls in, it's going to be McDermott didn't do X, Y, Z. And if Luke was going to call today, I'm sure he'd say, what was that play call at the end of the first half?
Right. Yeah, goal to go at the end of the first half. Under 2 minutes. You get stopped on a run. Then you throw the ball to the 1. You got a false start on 3rd down, an incomplete pass, and you settle for the chip shot, which
I'm totally fine with limiting the hits on your quarterback. Okay, that part number 1 of this is like, okay, tush push would have been the call. That's the best play in the playbook. They said them. So look, it's the false start. It was a little sketch of a false start, but that's what got called. Did they make the field goal danger? We're like, you left 4 points there, but we're not talking about it all that much.
No,
if they make the field goal,
no. You know what? And it might also be the last 2 weeks. This offense has kind of been scoring at will. The Rams' defense ain't great, and the Lions' defense is banged up. I mean, after this game, with the injuries that the Lions sustain, and look, the Bills have some injuries that we'll talk about throughout the course of the week, but the Lions' injuries, season-ending injuries in some cases, it's a hard thing to imagine that team overcoming those injuries defensively and being able to make a deep run.
I'm watching them yesterday because of that danger. They're so lopsided right now, and I actually feel bad. And now, if you put in Montgomery,
you have to feel bad.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a fan base that has suffered forever, and all this season, this was the year, man. Look at how we're playing. We've got 1 loss. We are boat racing teams. We have the best offense in the league. We've got and now all of this, all these injuries. I do kind of feel for Lion fan.
I know you and I are going to disagree on this. It's feeling like the Vikings is the one to me. Hear me out. They're going to beat the Bears tonight. We could say, well, do they cover? How does it look? Okay, Chicago's not going to rise up and win in Minnesota tonight. Seattle, they go next week. Now Geno Smith. I haven't seen the latest update because they're on the West Coast. He got hurt last night. So that would leave a game at home against the Packers, but the Packers don't by that point have much to play for if they're
already in the playoffs.
They're already in the playoffs, and they'll be a wild card. Do they really need to rise up at that point? I just look at which team has the less kind of surrounding them right now, and the Lions with the injuries and Philadelphia with the drama. Yeah, you beat the Steelers yesterday. Great win, but you have your assistant coach, going after Sirianni on the sideline with Jalen Carter getting it. It was just it's always something with Philadelphia that kind of leads me to believe, okay, is that team really going to kind of put it all together and make sure they're buttoned up in January?
Well, what about Philadelphia's schedule down the stretch here? They've got 3 divisional opponents to wrap up the season: the Commanders, the Cowboys, and the Giants. That feels like 3 wins.
Should be, right.
And if you're the Vikings, yes. It would be crazy for me to sit here and predict that the Bears are going to win, but I will say that the Bears have shown that weird things can happen when they come to Minneapolis. It's a divisional game. They took them to overtime in Chicago. Stranger things have happened, Gino. That's all I'll say about that. But I want to say that if the Eagles and the Vikings end the season atop the NFC with the same record, the tiebreaker goes to Minnesota for a strength of conference or a better conference record or better strength of conference record.
It's got to be strength. They'll, if the Vikings win tonight, they will have the same record, same conference record. So it's going to come down to common opponents at that point. So, right, it's up in the air. I guess the point being here, where the storyline last week was, wow, Bills and Lions, this is a Super Bowl preview. That didn't look like a Super Bowl team in Detroit. I'm sorry. They're a lot of fun, but they are so banged up right now. All right,
so if we're allowed to imagine what it could all look like in February and the Bills are a part of that equation, could I interest you in a Bills-Eagles Super Bowl when you think about what last year's game looked like. Last year's Bills-Eagles game, you could argue, was the best regular season game of the year. It was a fantastic game in Philadelphia last year that the Bills honestly let kind of slip through their fingers. That was one that they could have had, should have had. It's another one of those games where like, okay, they lost spectacular fashion once again. But that to me feels like the path that we may be heading. I don't want to dismiss Minnesota for what they've done or Green Bay for what they've done. But I also think that there is something to the Eagles, their experience in the postseason, what they know. I mean, the Vikings are a great story. I love the Sam Darnold story. You know how I feel about that from even before the season got underway. I'm like, Sam Darnold's going to be okay with Kevin O'Connell. And the Packers, all they did was what they were supposed to do. They went into Seattle and they beat an inferior opponent that had a lot to play for. And they gave up their division lead with that loss to Green Bay last night. So the North has been a tough division all season long, but I still like Philadelphia to get that 1 seed. If they end up with the same record, then the Vikings, obviously with that tiebreaker advantage, then they would get it if it's all equal and Detroit's in the mix as well. But when you look at the schedules, I mean, Philly's schedule with these divisional games to wrap up the season, much like the Bills, kind of easy. You can kind of kick your feet up a little bit, not take it for granted, not give up a game, but you know what you're dealing with.
All right, so I'm going to rattle off the teams in the NFC here, Danger, okay? And you tell me whether or not, yes or no, you could see this team in the Super Bowl. We already mentioned Philadelphia as the 1. For the sake of this argument, I'm going to have Detroit as the 2. Can the Lions, despite all these problems, find a way?
You know, I would say yes based on the heart that they play with, but the talent might not be there with all of these injuries. And the Montgomery injury, if he's gone for the year, I think that hurts them. I think that really hurts them offensively. Gibbs is spectacular. But the defensive injuries, I think, are too much. We'll say no.
Okay. The 3 seed, believe it or not, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, really?
Yes.
Okay, Tampa to get through a wild card and then Detroit on the road and then Philadelphia on the road?
Who has Tampa beat this season?
Gene? Oh, all right.
Philadelphia and Detroit.
All right.
Tampa, yes. That's a team I would not want to see. That's a mean-ass, rowdy-ass team. Tampa, yes.
In first place in the NFC West by the divisional record, it's now the Rams.
Yeah.
The Rams is a 4. Can they get to the Super Bowl?
I think they can. I actually think they can. Yeah.
See, where this sets up, if they're the 4, okay, then you're going to get the top wild card, which would be Minnesota as a 5. Sam Darnold going to Los Angeles. That's a fantastic 4-5 matchup.
Love it.
So that's the next question, the Vikings.
I don't see them.
Oh, enter bias, buddy.
No, it's not. It really isn't. I don't see them doing it. I think I think that the Vikings are the Vikings. That there will, and Viking fans know this better than anybody, that they will prop your hopes up just to rip your heart out. And it could be a first round. If it is the Rams in that first week, you go and say, we could beat the Rams. You could beat the Rams. No, you really can't.
Okay.
Sorry.
So then, in this argument, then the 6th seed would be Green Bay.
Yeah.
Green Bay would go to Tampa Bay. Green Bay, who never wins in Florida, but that was the Aaron Rodgers era.
No, I think Tampa wins that game.
Green Bay, could you see a scenario where they get to the Super Bowl?
No.
And then the 7 would be Washington holding on to that right now.
Love Washington, but no.
They're fun.
Yeah, their time is coming.
Yeah.
They're fun. But no. I mean, what did I say? 3 teams in there: the Rams, the Bucks, the Eagles.
That's it.
Those are the 3 that I think in the NFC could rise up. And in the AFC, this is going to be a hard thing to predict because we don't know the severity of. I think they call it a mild high ankle sprain. Is there such a thing as a mild high ankle sprain?
Well,
like there's a mild concussion. There's no such thing. A mild high ankle sprain means week to week. And if he's week to week, why don't the Chiefs give the NFL a giant middle finger and let Patrick Mahomes rest that high ankle sprain for the postseason.
Yes.
Let them choke on their ratings for making them play 3 games in 11 days.
It's exactly what I'm thinking. Would the Chiefs look at this and say, is it worth it to get the 1? But you get the 1 week off, right? Or rather than that, let's just kind of downshift here a little bit. And who cares against the Texans? We're going to trot out Carson Wentz. And, it's Christmas Day. You know what? We'll take another week off. And then, hey, if we got a chance to play still for the number 1, then maybe we'll show up in Denver. But if not, then we'll give Patrick Mahomes another week of rest. I'm thinking that is a serious topic today inside those walls in Kansas City.
No question. And by the way, there isn't a single player in that locker room or player in that organization or person in that organization that appreciates having to play 3 games in 11 days.
No, especially the middle game being Christmas Day.
Yeah.
That's a giant, the third game, I should say. That's a giant FU to these teams. Play on a Wednesday.
It's tough, man.
Remember we were discussing this in the offseason? No, they're really not going to do that. They're not going to force 2 teams to play on a Wednesday because it's Christmas Day. No, they did
teams.
it. They did it.
Yeah.
They have 4 teams.
Yeah. It's insane. It's the NFL being as greedy as they can possibly be. And I would love, for multiple reasons, I would love for Kansas City to say, F you, our quarterback has an ankle sprain, and he's going to sit for your precious Christmas Day game.
Dude, it's coming full circle here in the sports bar. Because if the Bills are going to actually get to where they need to go, we just need a 6'5" guy from North Dakota with a howitzer of an arm. And just a lay right down. Yeah.
Wow.
With Midwestern values.
You know what to do, Wentz. Go out there and alienate your teammates. Absolutely ruin your team's chances of getting a 1 seed. The mission is clear.
It's our guy. He's like a spy in there. Go ahead, Kurt.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's just awesome.
What made it so awesome?
Just being here. Being away from North Dakota, for us to be here, it's just great.
And to get to see Carson Wentz?
Yes, he's awesome. Such a role model for our kids and grandkids.
Such a role model to tank the 1 seed for Kansas City. Can't wait to see him. Get out of North Dakota.
Wonder if that woman's still alive.
Oh, bless her soul.
Yeah.
Was her name Betty? I thought we had her name. It was a very like a Gertrude or a Betty or, old school, old soul, kind of like long forgotten name that you just don't hear kids named anymore. Just so excited to be out of North Dakota. So there you have it. Carson Wentz potentially with the weight of the 1 seed on his shoulders. I don't like that schedule for the Chiefs down the stretch. Not one bit. I mean, I like it for the Bills' chances to be the 1 seed. They have to handle their business as well. And with that game being flexed, our pregame coverage on Sunday begins at 12 noon here on the Fan Rochester.
And then we go over to Amerks hockey in the middle of that because the Amerks are playing on Sunday in Cleveland. Devin Levi was sent back to the Amerks today. He went up there for 1 day of the poison and did what he could. 40 shots he faced, not enough. Again, it connects to the Bills, folks, okay? So if you're like, I hate hockey, don't talk hockey, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's the same owner, okay? And I'm fascinated how one organization, the NFL, is now held as the model. This is how you do it. You hire a good head coach, and then he aligns with the GM, and you find your quarterback. And everything else falls into place. It sounds so easy, right? Same ownership, NHL, and if we were doing most dysfunctional organizations in the NHL, here are the Buffalo Sabres. The story today, Terry Pegula actually flew up to Montreal, where the team plays tomorrow night. They didn't practice. Instead, it was just the team meeting with the owner. And then what's he saying? He's saying that he supports GM Kevin Adams. He supports the head coach, Lindy Ruff, and he supports you, the players. To me, once he showed up, Danger, that's your last warning. This is it, guys.
This has happened before, right? This happened during the 18-game win streak.
That's it. Others have pointed that out. Okay, guys, knock it off. And then, shortly thereafter, Ralph Kruger was fired.
Oh, you mean the vote of confidence wasn't actually a vote of confidence? Get out of here.
I was at Taproom Bill Graves with Duffy yesterday from CMF. I'm like, wait a second, could they actually fire Lindy Ruff? He's like, no, you can't fire Lindy Ruff.
I don't think you can fire Lindy Ruff, but you can certainly break Lindy Ruff, and I think that's exactly what this organization has done. I think they have broken a once proud coach, a once proud player, who's a proud Buffalonian, who is broken. He is broken. To hear him publicly say, this has been one of the toughest solves of my career, you haven't solved anything. And I don't think you're going to solve anything. They have broken Lindy Ruff. You can't break that guy. You're right. You can't fire him. He's Lindy Ruff. He's practically royalty in Western New York. And even he can't figure it out. He's at wit's end. And that's probably what prompts Pegula coming in saying, guys, seriously, what are we doing here? And I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think it matters. I think these guys are a bunch of losers. Serious losers. Absolute losers. Zero desire, zero passion, losers. So, but I'm sure Terry's evaluation of the team is right, and that the answers are right there in the locker room. No, they're not. No, they are not. And honestly, sell the team, and then we will find out where the answers lie. Sell the team.
Everybody wants to own a team these days, right? It doesn't even, you don't have to like hockey, but I'm
sell
sure
it to the billionaire that's in Nebraska. Give him the reins.
No, see that part of me is wondering, is he holding on to the team because he knows the truth that, yeah, there would be a lot of people that would want to buy it and then move it to wherever. Like, then
let's start with fixing the arena and then sell the team so that you have arena because the money's in the arena and make it worth somebody's while. But this, Am I crazy to say that Terry Pegula needs to sell the Sabres in order for them to win?
At some point, you got to ask, is that a good move here? And I would just kind of point out, like, if you're looking for clues, again, we're partners with the Amerks and Nighthawks. That just always struck me as weird. Like, wait a second, you don't want to manage the arena here anymore?
No.
And why is that? Because you can control concessions and you could actually make more money. And sure, it's more work, but isn't making more money the whole objective here? We want to go back to the year 2015 and be a tenant here, and we're going to pay to the landlord, and they bring in this local yokel company from Iowa to run the arena. We didn't talk much about that, but it's a little concerning.
Yeah. I don't know. What's it going to take? Is it going to take the Sabres losing, being less profitable than they are? At what point does a billionaire investor, somebody with money in all these different pots, finally say, this is not worth the return on investment? Because why? Because you're a fan? Because you're passionate about the team? Because you love the team? Because you grew up watching the team? Sell the team.
Well,
you're doing it a disservice.
For Tom Golisano, he saved the team because of his friend's memory, and then he had a lot of fun with it. Right? They were winning games. They went to the conference. They were on the precipice of getting to the Cup final. Didn't happen. But then one day he got an offer and they did the background. It's like, wow. Tom Golisano, at the end of the day, he's not a sports owner. He's a businessman, a very shrewd one. And I can make that sort of return on investment out of a team I literally rescued out of bankruptcy. Well, Terry Pegula, at the end of the day, is a businessman too. Like, how much did he pay for the Sabres? How much could he sell for the Sabres today? It's somewhere in the back of my mind. I just want to know the reasons why that happened in Rochester. It's almost like, all right, we need to kind of loosen the ties on everything here so that someday when somebody comes in, we don't have to tie ourselves down with the lacrosse team in Rochester, let's say.
With the lacrosse team, with an arena. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, we're going to take a break. Nate Geary is scheduled to join us in the 4 o'clock hour. We'll get back to talking Buffalo Bills next. Something more uplifting, of course.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm not sure. Maybe Catalana is at the border. I mean,
leave the man purse behind, Catalana. Leave the man purse in the car. Well, if we can catch up with him, great. If not, we will move on. We got plenty to get to here this afternoon, and we have time for your calls as well. You can pull up a stool on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. That number is 866-4FAN. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub at 135 West Commercial Street in East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com. That's GoodSmokeBBQ.com.
WK9BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester, sports update.
Week 16 for the Buffalo Bills has been flexed. Yes, this Sunday, Bills and Patriots now kickoff will be at 4:25. The Bills now 11-3, finally win in Detroit. Still 2 games back at Kansas City. Eric Wood today on One Bills Live says even still, the number 1 seed is not out of question.
I think it certainly is on the table depending on how this Mahomes ankle injury shakes out. They're currently an underdog, according to Vegas, against Houston this week. So apparently they think that Mahomes may not be able to play. They play on Saturday too, I believe. So 1 less day of rest, but there's still a shot at it.
Nate Geary, Buffalo Bills Radio Network, to join us later this hour. Week 15 concludes tonight. Bears and Vikings, Falcons and Raiders. Terry Pegula flew to Montreal today to address the Sabres, giving everyone a vote of confidence. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
A colossal victory for the Bills on the road in Detroit as they emerge victorious 48-42 to improve to 11-3 on the season. They are alone in the second spot in the AFC conference race.
Mike Danger.
I believe that they are the best team in the NFL. Add Josh Allen, who is the odds-on favorite now to win league MVP. Why not predict this team to be Super Bowl champs when it's all said and done?
Gene Battaglia.
This was as dominant a road win for Buffalo since a victory Monday for the Italian music. Bruno Martino.
Pay up, bitch. Pay my ass. That's a PMA. Pay my ass. I want my box of wine, and I want it in time for the holidays. I expect my payment no later than Thursday.
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
You know, we should set the table for the rest of this week because this is really kind of it. We have an abbreviated week. We're off on Friday. We're back on Monday, a week from today. Take of the year. Did we decide Wednesday for take of the year?
Or Thursday.
Or Thursday, our last day?
I think Thursday, our last day, just because Wednesday, with the injuries and whatnot, Bill's getting back to work. That might be a day to talk Bills. So
we have 12 nominees this year for take of the year. And when we say take of the year, I'm going to say it's kind of loose, by the way. Like, these aren't exactly all. Some of them are actual takes. Some of it is just the best audio that we found that the Dan DeLorean, conjured up for us throughout the course of the year. Some really, really good stuff. And we'll review 2024 with our take of the year special coming up here on Thursday.
Okay. Can you play us one here? Give us a little taste, Danger. Pull us out something that you think is not going to win but might make me laugh here.
Okay. Well, I know the one that will always make me laugh.
We're not there yet. We still got a couple of days going through. Coach and I haven't sat down and gone through the final board yet. We'll do that on Monday.
That's Dan DeLorean added the last one.
Yeah. That one will always get me. This one will always get me.
I'm sure Rodgers is going to want to get Bacteria involved, but you know what? Bacteria is a guy who has been ravaged the last couple of years by injuries.
Well, he's bacteria. Like, who wants bacteria around? That is Francesa talking about David Bakhtiari.
No, David Bacteria.
David Bacteria.
Don't get it confused, Gene. Just some of the audio. And I should probably, share a take. An actual take. If we're going to talk about take of the year. This is a voice you hear every morning here on the Fan Rochester. Or Maggie Gray, Bills Mafia, who had a specific take on the city of Philadelphia.
Here's something I've learned about Eagles fans and maybe people generally from Philadelphia, but I don't like to bait with a broad brush. They're kind of miserable. I don't get it. They're kind of miserable sports fans, and they boo a lot, and they throw batteries at Santa Claus and all that stuff. It's not an act, guys. They're really like that. And so I think Eagles fans they're depressed right now prematurely. They don't think they have a shot against the Bucs. We'll see.
That was from
okay, so
that was from January.
Yeah,
that was,
right after the
that was
regular season ended. Yeah,
right. That was the playoff game.
Yeah,
and she was right. They don't have a chance against the Bucs. The Bucs won, right? We'll get to Nate Geary, who you hear on the Buffalo Bills radio network, He's joining us here in about 20 minutes or so. Just really quickly, the resume for Terry Pegula, since you mentioned him up in your sports update.
Mm-hmm.
Terry Pegula, in case you're just joining us, so brave of him to take time out of his schedule to go to Montreal and to let everybody know that, the answer to all the problems within this organization reside within the locker room, that, he has belief. The answers to all these problems are in the locker room. He has belief in the players. No, don't expect any big trades. The GM, the head coach, they've all got his back. You think the player's going to respond to a billionaire owner showing up?
I'm flying in. By the way, I'm going down to Palm Springs after this, or whatever, West Palm, and where there's palm trees.
Guy who handpicked players like Ville Leno, Christian Ehrhoff, Taylor Hall, overpaid all of them, watched it all explode in our face. Fired Darcy, and since then has only hired first-time GMs, all who have sucked. He hired a soccer coach to coach his hockey team, Ralph Kruger.
It's Ted Lasso in reverse, except that character actually was likable. Not roughing up.
6 head coaches since 2011. Won't hire a president of hockey operations. Won't allow his GM to spend because he's instituted an internal cap within the organization. And when you go to the arena, the conditions are less than favorable. But he is going to continue to spend all of his money and time with the Buffalo Bills, the organization that really matters in his portfolio. Sell the team. Sell the team. It's not going to get better until he is out.
Is there a local owner that would buy it, though? I think that ship has sailed, Danger. Like, they can't get local owners in the NFL. That's why you got to kind of break it up here. Like, if the Tampa Bay Lightning went for $1 billion, I'd accept the Sabres to go for $1 billion. But is there somebody that's just like, all of a sudden, $750 million for the Sabres? Here you go. Yeah, I don't think that person exists in our area.
We got to get back to the game from yesterday. It was fantastic. The Bills get the win. They're 11th of the season. The 1 seed is still in play, even though the Bills find themselves still 2 games behind Kansas City by virtue of their win against the Browns. The Patrick Mahomes injury makes things interesting down the stretch. We were talking last hour about maybe Kansas City shelving Mahomes for a few weeks here, letting him get right for the postseason with this high ankle sprain. And who knows if that is indeed the case, if that does happen here in this stretch where they have to play 3 games over the course of 11 days, then maybe the Bills, if they handle their business against divisional opponents in the Jets and the Patriots, that they can actually still wind up with the same record as the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, can you imagine, Patrick? I still want to play, though, Danger. I really want to play against those Houston Texans. But, oh, my gosh, we lost the game. I can't believe it. Well, we just got to regroup here.
Piggy. Yeah. It will be I don't wish that on my team. I wouldn't want to see my team play 3 games over the course of 11 days.
No, it's terrible scheduling by the NFL. These teams in the AFC, all 4 of them are at a disadvantage. All 4 of them are playoff teams. Like, they kind of knew going in, all right, let's pick teams. How did Buffalo get spared on this, by the way? We would be screaming murder if the Bills had to play 3 games in 11 days, with the last one being on Christmas Day.
Yeah, it's tough. But, again, with the game being flexed and with us complaining, nitpicking a game where they put 48, these are all symptoms of a winning team. These are all symptoms of a winning organization. And I guess, Gino, to the point you were trying to make in the first hour of our show today, maybe we should just kind of sit back and enjoy the fact that we just dusted the 1 seed. We basically did whatever we wanted to do with the best team in the NFC.
You're telling me to hit the music. Actually, I don't hit the music. Mike Danger, hit the music.
I don't have the music.
Oh, no. You're my. Oh, no. Like, you're talking. You're setting this up.
I know, but
this is a day to relax.
I know.
Wow, we didn't hang 51.
You got to give me at least 3 seconds notice to be able to pull up some Bruno Martino on a victory. But I get it for you, Gino. I get it for you. Yes, we are celebrating a victory Monday as the Bills beat the Lions and get their 11th win of the season. And if I may, Gino, I know that Dan Campbell is getting skewered for attempting an onside kick with 12 minutes to go.
But if you don't remember, maybe you couldn't pay attention, maybe you didn't watch. They cut it to 10 2 possessions. And when the Lions declared, I'm like, what? Really? It's pretty low. Immediately, I'm thinking, well, I don't think this is him being reckless danger. I think it's just, honestly, they couldn't stop him.
You're right. I think he was just trying to conserve time. I think he was looking for an additional possession. I think that the impact of that play wasn't the actual onside kick attempt. I see what he was doing because his defense had 1 legitimate stop out of 9 drives up to that point in the game. I'm not considering the end of the first half. I'm not considering the missed field goal as a legit stop. He stopped them once out of 9 drives.
9 times.
So he's got a plan in his head. We need to get another possession here. The thing that he didn't want to see happen was Mac Hollins returning it to the 5. That was not part of the game plan. You didn't draw it up to have Hollins return it the way he did. And I think that's why the call is getting more scrutiny than anything, because let's face it, at game's end, the Lions, they nearly recovered the second onside kick. It's the announcement of the onside kick that eliminates any element of surprise, and the desired result is certainly not a return for a goal-to-goal situation like you had there with 12 minutes left in the game.
So why do we have to declare this if, in the end, it still is kill the man with the ball? That's what we played growing up as a kid. Okay, kill the man, or king of the hill, or whatever you call it, because you're Taron Johnson, then humanity is going to descend upon you.
Poor guy. So Campbell today, or maybe it was postgame, but he basically admitted he regrets the call. But I think what he really hates was the execution, because this guy was 3 for 3 on 4th downs yesterday. His kicker missed a field goal, which he normally makes beyond 50 yards. I actually don't think he owes anyone an apology for taking that risk or for being who he is. It's who he is. And it's who he'll always be. And if you're an opponent, by the way, you can use that to your advantage, knowing that he is so steadfast in his character and how he wants to coach that you can use that against him. And the Bills, I don't know. I mean, like that Mac Hollins return, I think was deflating.
But see, this is where I'm going to say, if you're really looking at the percentages, Danger, that's where Dan Campbell is putting his brand ahead of what's smart. What's the greater percentage, that we would actually finally get a stop or recover the onside kick? 8.6% chance to recover the onside kick. I would say there's probably a better chance with 12 minutes to go, you get the stop. Maybe a takeaway. Try something different on defense. To me, like, that's the irony here. You're the guy who believes in go. You're saying, no, we suck defensively. I don't believe in you guys. We got to try something else here.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely brutal at that. And I think at that point they already sustained a few injuries on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, guys were falling down left and right for Detroit. And I kind of feel bad, given that this season has shown as much promise as it has, and they've done as well as they have. I don't know that these injuries are going to be. I don't know that they can overcome these injuries on defense.
Yeah, and then the other injury today, it's official. David Montgomery out for the year.
That's tough. I mean,
still have
Gibbs is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. For the life of me, I don't know if I'm going to criticize Campbell for anything. Why'd you get away from running Gibbs? Because there's nobody on the Bills' defensive side of the ball that can match that speed.
I would have said, for the same reasons we were like, seems weird to criticize the Bills' offense when they put up 42 in a loss.
Why'd you get away from James Cook?
Why did you get away from James Cook? That, the complimentary football.
By the way, how fluid is that guy? He looks, even when he's getting his hair pulled, he doesn't miss a strike. I mean, the guy is fluid.
Getting his hair pulled, getting his jersey ripped.
Oh, my God.
The hands of James Cook. Wow, that play where both he and Allen are going against the grain, opposite directions to connect like that?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Some fantastic, Knox with the one-handed grab, just some really fantastic plays made by this offense. Couple of occasions where you see Josh, scrambling to his right and throwing it across his body, where I'm like, you close your eyes or you're peeking through your fingers just to see, and it didn't cost him. But, if anything, your defense, don't let Josh scramble right. For God's sake, how many years have we seen this now? Don't let him scramble right, because if he scrambles right, he is going to hurt you. He's going to hurt you very badly.
Which team yesterday, Danger, would you say, by winning, you actually didn't help yourself? I'm talking big picture here. That was the worst thing that could have happened yesterday in the New York Jets. They won. Actually, it's the way they won. See, this is what could have been. Rodgers to Adams making sweet music together. Nobody can stop them. Oh, well, look, if Aaron Rodgers wants to play in the league next year, the owner may look at how the team plays in these final meaningless games and then run it back. And if you're Aaron Rodgers and you want to play next year, your options are going to be limited.
Your options are going to be the Jets and the Jets.
And that might happen.
That's
Danger.
it. Right.
That might happen. They might say there will be some head coach. Yes, I think I could make it work.
I want to believe that all of that is true, but there's got to be somebody within that organization that looks and says, yeah, congratulations. We almost lost to the Jaguars, a team that has quit on their coach. That quit on their coach really in the middle of the season. The Jags are terrible.
Mac Jones almost beat you yesterday.
Right.
Terrible.
So congratulations. You don't get a cookie for beating up on bad teams. What was the margin of victory? Was it 3? They won by a field goal?
It was, what was it, 32? Yeah, something.
It wasn't like a blowout.
No, they won by a touchdown, actually.
Okay, so they did win by a score.
Yeah.
It was close most of the game.
Yeah, it was a Sauce Gardner interception at the end that sealed it there.
There you go.
Look, in 2 weeks when they come to Buffalo and it's cold and you don't want to get hit when it's cold, well, it's easy to play like that in Jacksonville. Let's see how that looks in 2 weeks. We had a lot of fun talking sports cards, Danger, with the hobby folks last week.
Yeah.
And I think there was one story that came up with it's worth kind of discussing here. In one of the packs they open is the one-of-one rookie card. Now, they do these things now, if you're not familiar, that you open a pack and it's the one and only card. That's kind of like this one is so valuable.
It exists, you have the one card that exists. There are no duplicates.
Correct. The one-of-one rookie card for our guy, the great Tommy DeVito.
Hey!
Well, that's not where the story stops. That's actually where it only begins. A little after that, they get a message that Tommy himself wants the card.
Hey.
Can we imagine for a second how that would go?
Hey.
Hello, yes, I'm representing Mr. DeVito, and it's come to our attention that you have something that is valuable that he would like.
Yeah.
We're gonna make this easy for you. Okay, 10 o'clock tonight. Meet at the corner of Main and Clinton. You come there with the card. I mean, no problem. But if you don't come, the next call is not going to be so nice. Mr. DeVito thanks you in advance.
Okay, can we get it one more time?
Hello, yes. We the hobby? Yeah, this is Mr. I'm representing Mr. DeVito. It's come to our attention that you have something that is valuable that he would like, and he believes that this is his possession. What are you doing with it? You got to hand that back. We're making this easy, okay? Nope. You show up 10 o'clock tonight, corner right outside the studios and Commercial in Maine, all right?
Yeah.
And no problem. But if you don't come, next time I'm not going to be so nice. Mr. DeVito, thanks you.
Of course, DeVito had one of his guys ask for the one-of-one card because he's Italian. You want to go to We the Hobby?
Hey, Moron.
Hey. You give me the card, I'll break your legs.
But my name on there, that's me. What are you doing with it?
If you don't know, then you don't. We the Hobby sleeps with the fishes.
Oh, Tommy got hurt yesterday too, Danger.
Yeah. Of course he got hurt. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's not the proper usage. I don't want to end up with my legs broken. Yeah, it's much better when you had the... We can really lean into the Italian thing a little bit here, don't we?
Just a little bit, but then again, we're the only sports radio station in the country that actually has an Italian music show. So
that's a good point.
And I don't know if you knew this about Rochester. We do have a lot of Italian Americans here.
We do?
You married into
Maybe. Yeah, there's a few last names that end in a vowel in our fine community. Yeah, I imagine that DeVito got what he wanted there with his one-of-one card. They made him an offer he can't refuse, and there will be no further bloodshed. Hey, our guy got hurt. I hate that. We got to get to Nate Geary covering the Buffalo Bills on the Bills Radio Network, WGR, our Odyssey Sports sister station as well. Here we are at 11 wins. And I want to bring this up to Nate because earlier in the season when we had Nate on, he was steadfast and true on Josh Allen being the best candidate for MVP. When people were saying Lamar, he was saying Allen. There was nobody else in the conversation. And I know a lot of Bills fans have that thought in their head, but as the season is worn out, it's pretty clear Josh Allen is going to be the MVP, right? What would have to happen for that to not happen at this point?
Right.
I don't see any path where it doesn't happen. So we'll give him his flowers for that. Nate Geary of the Buffalo Bills Radio Network. We'll talk about yesterday's win. We'll look ahead to the rest of the season, talk about the NFL. Next on The Fan.
The Fan, Rochester. Ever wish your smart speaker could provide live sports updates without breaking a sweat? Tell it to play 95.7 The Fan and watch it become your personal sports commentator. The Fan, Rochester. Sports Update.
Game change for this week. The Bills-Patriots now will kick off at 4:25. Yes, CBS opting to take a Bills team facing a 3-11 team in that window. Josh Allen looks to be the favorite for MVP. He says it's another way in Detroit just to win a game.
Well, again, we're just trying to find ways to win, and this is going to help us in the long run. But still, a lot of things that we can learn from this game, take away. Still, offensively, I think we need to find some more. There's too many plays we left out there. So I know it's to nitpick a game like that where you score 48 sounds kind of dumb, but still feel like we left some out there.
Nate Geary, Buffalo Bills Radio Network, to join us next year in the Sports Bar. Week 15 concludes tonight. It's the Bears and Vikings and the Falcons and Raiders. Terry Pegula flew to Montreal today to address the Sabres. He gave everyone a vote of confidence. Gene Battaglia, The Fan, Rochester.
The beer is cold and the wings are hot. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Here, Nate Geary and the Buffalo Bills Radio Network. Pregame coverage starts 12 noon this coming Sunday with the game getting moved into the late afternoon window. We welcome in Nate Geary. WGR and the Buffalo Bills Radio Network. Nate, it's funny. I want to start with you, first of all, give you your flowers, because I think one of the last times we had you on, the MVP race was a little bit tighter than it appears right now, and it was always Josh Allen for you based on what you saw out of him earlier this year, and now obviously he's the favorite to kind of win this thing, and we have a hard time trying to see what it would look like if he weren't to win this thing. But I want to go back to what he just said there in the soundbite during Gene's update about nitpicking a game where you score 48 points. Because as satisfying as a win over the Lions is, there is still some meat on the bone, and you look at it and you're like, well, what about if they would have handled the end of the first half differently? What about these goal-to-goal situations? I mean, there were still moments where you're kind of scratching your head like, okay, what are they doing here? How are you, Nate?
I'm well. I agree. I'd say it's nitpicky, but, I think it's where you inevitably get when you're the fan of or you cover a team that is as good for as long as the Bills have been and don't have the thing that they really try for, which is not MVPs or, best regular season records or most 11-win seasons over the course of 5 years as a head coach. Like, these are all great regular season awards. And, to be honest with you, it's kind of crazy that the Bills don't have more regular season awards considering how consistent they've been over the last couple of seasons. And, now, I think you are, and I think we all are on the precipice of watching Josh Allen secure his first MVP trophy, which I think for a couple of reasons is great, not just because it will maybe end the conversation around Allen not having the sort of requisite, trophy case examples of being great, right? Like, everybody here recognizes, and I think everyone recognizes how great Josh Allen was. And, it was always Josh Allen is so incredible, but, and the but was always the turnovers. And now that the turnovers are cleaned up, now it's like, well, Josh Allen's great, but I don't know, we're going to search and stretch for something and we're just not getting there. And I think for me, this is an offense that is as good of an offense as I've ever seen in terms of efficiency over the last 3 weeks, really after the bye week. The Bills have been as efficient as any offense in NFL history, and whether it's EPA per play, whether it's DVOA, whether it's, just volume metrics, the things that Josh Allen and this offense are doing on a weekly basis are, pretty incredible. And listen, is what Lamar doing incredible? Absolutely. But his win last year moved the goalposts, I think, pretty significantly on what this award is. And I think if that's where it was last year, then that's the same sort of guiding principles that the rest of the league and fans and media alike need to take this year. You can't change your mind a year after, awarding Lamar Jackson the trophy with 24 touchdowns and one of the least impressive volume statistics of an MVP ever. And I get it. Joe Burrow's playing great football. Lamar Jackson's playing great football, but this is an award that has been made very clear to everyone involved, anyone that follows and is a fan of Josh Allen, we were told if he's not one of, if not the best team in the league or not one of the best teams in the league, then you are sort of, taken out of contention for this award. If Joe Burrow was 11-3, Joe Burrow might be in first place, but they are not. They are below 500, and he's not even an afterthought in this conversation. So, I think for me, Josh has got this thing pretty squared up, and the next couple of weeks, they I think are going to have a very legitimate and very real opportunity to secure the 1 seed. This injury to Patrick Mahomes, I think, is real, and I think that they're going to have a really tough decision to make on a short week. 3 games in 12 days is a real difficult recipe to come, to have your quarterback who relies on his mobility to be great with behind a very shaky offensive line go up against 2 of the premier edge rushing teams in the league in Houston with, Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. And then obviously Pittsburgh, those guys, TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith and Nate Herbig, like these are formidable edge rushing teams against maybe the biggest weakness, or maybe even like I would say the fatal weakness of the Kansas City Chiefs, which is, edge protection, tackles, and how they're playing. And if your quarterback who is, genuinely one of the most mobile quarterbacks in the league and hangs onto the football to create the plays that he creates, if he can't do that, you're putting him in harm's way, and you're likely going to have a team over the next 2 weeks that might struggle against 2 very, very good defensive teams. So, long story short, yes, I have been sort of beating this drum for a while, and I'm glad that everyone else is sort of coming around to it. But it's pretty unprecedented to me how well this offense has played, despite you mentioning the end of half situation and maybe some of the questionable decisions made towards the end of the game in LA 2 weeks ago. But I think there are things that there are examples of other teams making the same mistakes. This isn't unique to Josh Allen or Joe Brady or Sean McDermott. But I was happy to see that they were able to overcome not getting those points at the end of the half. And it didn't really come back to haunt them. Although I did feel it was their opportunity to put that game out of reach. If it's 34-14 or something in the third quarter, that game's, to me, effectively over. But they let him hang around a little bit, and that's it's a historically good offense on the other side too. So when the Bills played prevent defense, I think the look of that score is probably, if you're just box score watching, you might think that the Lions were really in that game, where I think anyone that really watched the entire game never really felt like the game was at a threat until it looked like Taron Johnson maybe didn't recover the onside kick.
Nate, go back to Allen here because, again, as Danger mentioned, you were championing him, and we've been saying that for a few years. Like, if the Bills want to get to where they're going to go, well, Josh Allen, if he can bring his game to a new level, which I think we all can kind of nod our heads and agree this is the best we've seen of Josh Allen, I'm going to ask the question. And there's never one answer to this, so if you can kind of rank them here, what is it? Why did Allen, what was it that got him to raise the level of his game to where it is this year?
I think that so many little things that I think, pointing out one being the main reason why probably doesn't do justice to the other things. I just think there are so many things. I think it's his confidence, I think, is absolutely one of the most powerful things that a quarterback can have. And I'm not here to tell you that I think Josh Allen was lacking confidence the last couple of seasons, but I think when you're constantly being told by the most important player in the offense that, although you're doing great, that he needs to be more involved in the offense, that becomes not an untenable position, but a difficult one for your quarterback. And I think, this was an offense that even when they transitioned to Joe Brady, it was like, okay, well, here, take this screen pass, Steph, and shut up. Just like, take this. We'll give you 5 targets in the screen game if you just leave everybody the hell alone. And I think it just got into an impasse with Stephon Diggs that was like, you're bringing everyone else around you down because it's all about me. And listen, I know that they weren't taking direct shots at Stephon Diggs with some of the things that they were saying, and I know the media were running with it like they were. But I think there's a little bit to be said that like they might not be directly calling out Stephon Diggs for the vibes and the different feeling in the locker room this year and the everybody eats mentality that weren't maybe direct shots at Stephon Diggs. But man, if it doesn't take you very long to get there, I think everybody sort of agrees that it was a problem that maybe the most important problem they had that no one was really willing to mention or talk about. And I think it's hard, right? I think it's hard to talk about those things with how successful and what an unbelievable. I mean, Stephon Diggs is one of the I think the highest quality star player this team has had in 2.5 decades. I mean, he truly is one of the league's elite receivers. He's not that anymore, but he had been, and was, in terms of star power, he's one of the most recognizable names in the game playing for the Bills. And I think that there's something to be said about, putting up with some of those things. And eventually, I just think the negatives outweigh the positives. And I also maybe want to point to Joe Brady in this as being a very important change. And I also maybe want to put Ronald Curry in this. And you're like, Nate, Ronald Curry, right? The quarterback's coach? Yeah, I mean, it's a new voice. It's a guy that, I think has experience in the league and experience playing different sports at a very high level. I think there's a level of trust between Josh and Ronald Curry. He's mentioned him multiple times and some of the preparation and some of the stuff that they're doing. Listen, Josh goes back to the well every year and tries to improve on one thing. And this year he's improved in season on the deep throw accuracy. Start of the year, he was missing a lot of those deep balls. This was an offense that really exists at or around the line of scrimmage. This looks more over the last 3 weeks like the last 2 weeks, more like the offense we saw under Dable and Dorsey, but an offense that's, I think, that has the layups that were built in that were never built in under Dorsey and under Dable. So if right now you're getting all of the benefits of having the downfield passing game that Dorsey and Dable were trying to push, now with schemed layups, I think it's having a huge benefit and a snowball effect on Josh Allen, because instead of starting the game like he did in Houston, right, where it's like, oh man, Josh is 0 for 9 or 0 for 8 or 1 for 7, right? Like it had been in years past under Dorsey and Dable. You've got these easy throws, these ways to start to build momentum early in the game. And now you've got a guy that if you throw the ball 5 yards, laterally at the line of scrimmage, can turn into a touchdown. Josh Allen's getting more yards after the catch than he ever has in his career. And he's really more in line with where how Patrick Mahomes was, building his volume stats. So it's the big plays down the field with the unbelievable arm strength and the tethered throws down the field. But now he's got a 3-level passing attack with multiple weapons. If you want to take away Mari Cooper, who cares? We've got 9 other guys that can contribute. You want to run man coverage? Good. We don't care. We won't throw to our receivers. We've got 3 running backs out of the backfield that can all beat you in our mismatches against your linebackers. All right, well, you want to run zone coverage? Fine. Josh Allen will dink and dunk you down the field. It's patience, it's scheme, it's confidence, it's play design, and let's be honest, it's the development of the pieces around him. And Keon Coleman evolving really each and every week before the injury and now hopefully post-injury. And Khalil Shakir turning into a bona fide top target for them, I think is huge as well. And listen, now they're even getting contributions from Dawson Knox, a guy that, I think a lot of people were frustrated with going into the season, knowing how much they were paying him and how little volume and production they were getting. So across the board, I think you can just name so many little things that are leading to big results. But this is the most efficient, the deepest, and frankly, the offensive line wasn't even mentioned as well. I think, he's 3 straight weeks without a sack. Is some of the best and most efficient football Josh Allen and this offense have played since he's entered the league.
Nate, I want to ask you a little bit about the defense, one player in specifically, Ed Oliver. But before we do that, I want to get one more question in about the offense here, because what we saw out of James Cook makes me wonder why they didn't see more of that against the Rams. I mean, he was dynamic yesterday, and I keep saying, not just Cook. I mean, listen, Johnson was great. Davis gets a touchdown as well. The backfield is stout, but I guess that leads to my question. James Cook feels like a star in a league that doesn't want to pay at that position. How do you think Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott I know it's nothing they have to deal with right away, but at some point they're going to have to deal with the future of James Cook in Buffalo. How do you think that all plays out?
Well, I'll tell you the first part about the LA game and maybe what the differences were there. I think game script really dictated a lot about that game, and they got behind early. And listen, I think if the Bills showed anything this week against the Lions and how you maybe don't feel like you match up particularly well, I think a lot of people were worried about the Bills not matching up well against another power run team like they didn't match up well against Baltimore. And if you want to flip the script on Baltimore, you want to get the ball out of the hands of Derrick Henry. The easiest way to do it is get a 14-0 lead. And I think the Bills proved that. It made them more one-dimensional. And if the Bills could just keep scoring the way they did offensively, that's really how you sort of dictate the terms of the other team. But for the Bills, they got up. And they wanted to run the ball. In fact, I think that they probably wanted longer drives, but the problem was they were averaging 10 yards a play, walking down the field with little to no resistance whatsoever. I think the Bills would have liked to possess the ball, take the air out of the ball a little bit more. The problem was every time they handed it all off to James Cook, he was, running for 9, 10, 15 yards at a time. So, the future outlook here, I think, is, listen, He is a dynamic player. I think he is one of the top 7, 8 running backs in the league. But he's never going to be a guy that sees the volume that a Saquon Barkley does. Is he looking for that, right? I mean, he might say to himself, listen, I can take a chance on myself, go sign a 1 or 2 year contract in an offense that's going to see me get 20, 25 touches a game. And then maybe I can really hit, or maybe a 1-year deal, right, somewhere where I'm going to go get volume for a season and then go make pay dirt and go make what I can make. I think the Bills are going to have a really tough decision because as good as he is and as important he is to the offense, they just have so many young players lined up for big extensions. Christian Benford, I think, is going to, have a sizable extension. I think Greg Rousseau is going to have a sizable extension. Khalil Shakir, sizable extension. Dalton Kincaid's going to be coming down the rope here in a couple of seasons. They got to keep that eye out for that as well. And obviously, they just re-signed Spencer Brown and Terrell Bernard. I mean, Terrell Bernard's probably going to set the market. If he doesn't set the market for linebacker, he's going to be right there within the top 5. So there's 4 players right there that are core players and core pieces to what you do, both offensively and defensively, but predominantly defensively, that they're going to have to prioritize. And those guys are all going to see those paydays before James Cook will. And I would be very surprised if they even go after him in like a franchise tag situation, just because of the number that it would require. So as much as I love James Cook, as much as I can acknowledge the value he brings to this offense, it would not surprise me at all if, this year the Bills look to the 2nd or 3rd round to add another piece at the running back position and really groom him. Because I do think Ray Davis will likely be the future of the position. And it'll be, can they continue drafting and getting the most out of young players instead of, paying someone that James Cook is. I'm not here to tell you I think James Cook's going to get what Barkley made, but I'm not sure you could even justify paying him half of what Barkley made, just knowing that you have Josh Allen.
We're talking to Nate Geary, WGR, Buffalo Bills Radio Network. Nate, all right, 2nd week in a row, the Bills have given up 40-plus points. What happened yesterday is that, are we just chalking that up to, hey, you're missing 3 of 5 starters in the secondary and then Milano goes out? Or is there anything that is cause for concern coming out of this game in Detroit?
Yeah, I mean, certainly Milano going down with the groin injury, something to pay attention to. I saw somebody tweet at me during the game, like, why is Milano out there? They should be saving him for the playoffs. He looks really rusty. And I'm like, the reason he's out there now is because he needs to shake the rust off before the playoffs start. So it'll be interesting to see if it's a slight tweak or if it's something that's going to keep him out for the next couple of weeks, because it did look like, Dorian Williams left the game with a UCL injury, or at least that's what it looks like, an elbow injury. But he ended up returning because of how ineffective Balen Spector was when he was out in the field. I mean, he just was not good. I think to put it nicely. So if Balen Spector's got to play, I think they're in a real spot at the linebacker position. Otherwise, Bishop went down, but it was cramping, so nothing I think long term to be concerned about. And then otherwise, Josh obviously gets the X-ray on the shoulder, but it sounded like after the game it was more of just a precaution. He's probably going to end up on the injury report this week, but I wouldn't suspect it's anything that holds him back or keeps him out of the game upcoming here in the final 3 matchups.
Nate, Ed Oliver had his best game of the season, and I think when you talk about all these injuries that they have on the defensive side of the ball, a lot of that can be masked when you have pressure from Ed Oliver right up the gut there. 4 tackles, he gets a sack, 3 quarterback hits, he forces a fumble. Was it Sean McDermott challenging his manhood? What woke up Oliver? Because it's been a sleepy season.
I think he's probably heard a lot of the conversation about him, which has been that he's having his worst season as a pro, and how ineffective he's been this year compared to last. I thought he played not just his best game of the season, but one of the best games I've ever seen Ed Oliver play, from a down-to-down an effort. And that's really, for me, where this goes to. This is not a question of can Ed Oliver be an elite-level interior pass rusher, because he's proved he had 9.5 sacks last year. But the question is, can he be a down-in and down-out player and be an effort player? Because you look across the defensive line, and you've got to look at a guy like Casey Tuhill. Casey Tuhill does not have the same level of tools and athleticism that an Ed Oliver has. DeJuan Smoot does not have the same tools or athletic ability that an Ed Oliver have. Dwayne Carter does not have the tools or athletic ability that Ed Oliver has. But you know what? I'm never going to question those 3 is their effort playing and play out. You're going to get the absolute max effort from Casey Tuhill if he's on the field. Even if it's 10 plays, 1 play, doesn't matter. You're going to get the effort as if that's his last play. And I think what we saw last week, what we saw yesterday, was a very different level of attention, detail, but effort. And I think if you see that effort for the way out, it's okay if the stats don't show up in the stat book to me like they did this week, 10 pressures and a sack. If they don't show up like that each and every week, I just don't want to look at the game film. I don't want to watch a replay and feel like Ed Oliver wasn't giving 100% effort. And when he does, that's the player I think you can expect to see week in and week out.
So normally, Nate, when we have you on, then we look ahead to this week's opponent. I don't know if there's really anything to kind of break down about the Patriots. We expect the Bills to win here. The Bills are favored by 14. But I'll ask the question this way. Drake May, do the Patriots have something to work with here? And if so, well, how much work do they got ahead of him surrounding him with talent here?
So you guys don't want to talk about the Sabres? You want to just okay? We can do that. So we'll talk.
We can talk about the Sabres. I have 3 words for the Sabres: sell the team. Back to the Bills,
listen,
Nate.
It would have been nice for them to maybe threaten no more like pizza parties if you guys can't get this thing turned around. But no, all is safe in hockey heaven. Yeah, I like Drake May. I like Drake May a lot coming out. I was of the mind that I thought either I had both. I had better grades on Drake May and Jaden Daniels than I did on Caleb Williams. I liked both players better coming out of college. To me, Drake May had the I think poppiest arm in the draft. Like he just has the arm strength that you want to see from a franchise guy that you're going to spend a significant pick on. You want to see the arm strength. He has it. The mobility. He has it. He's got experience. He played a lot of football at North Carolina. I think that matters. And by the way, in a pro style offense. So, long story short, yeah, I like Drake May. I'm surprised it took him as long to get in the game as they did. I thought he won that job out of training camp and should have been the day one starter. I don't blame them for waiting, but they would have been more competitive if Drake May started the season from game one. Now, I think he's succeeding despite one of the weakest coaching staffs in the league. Each and every week, Gerard Mayo comes out with a more puzzling, quote or decision in every game. I think that's a marriage. I don't know if you guys saw any of the highlights from that game, but Jonathan Kraft, Robert Kraft's son, you could be seeing as lip reading. These are terrible play calls. I'm not sure how long Gerard Mayo is going to be the head coach of the New England Patriots. But when the owner's son is, being lip read, in the second quarter, trash talking your offensive play caller, I do wonder how long Gerard Mayo is going to be there in New England. And hey, who would have thought, not interviewing other coaches and hiring a guy that's never had any head coaching experience would work. But just ask the Sabres. It works out great every time.
Kind of surprised. A 3-11 team? They put this in the late afternoon window, or that's just a little tip of the cap?
What the hell? Yeah. Give us a break, man. I want a 1 o'clock game. I was really looking forward to having 3 straight 1 o'clock games, being on my couch at 8 p.m. with some leftover pot roast in my stomach, watching these games. And here I go. I'm going to be working the wee hours of the night once again. Don't feel for me. I make a ton of money when I do
sure.
this.
We all get paid well, just like the Buffalo offense. Everybody eats them. Nate,
correct.
To bring it back around, it feels like what we're talking about here are the byproducts of a successful and a winning organization, and you've got games in prime time, and you've got little nitpicky things that we really shouldn't be complaining about when you knock off a team that's the 1 seed in the NFC the way the Bills did in fairly dominating fashion. Nate, appreciate your time as always. We'll be listening for you on Sunday.
Anytime, fellas. If I don't talk to you both before the holiday, happy holidays to both of you guys, and be safe and talk soon.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Nate.
There he is, Nate Geary. Hear him on the Buffalo Bills Radio Network, one of our favorites. Some great points. Great points. I would like to be on the there's nothing better than 8 o'clock, full belly, afternoon game is done. Day of football is done. Now you're just gluttonous. Now you're just like, okay, give me more football with my full belly.
Well, it gets better because, say, next week, then you have that, and then you get the Monday night game, which it's going to be the Packers on the 23rd, but then most of us aren't working on Christmas Eve and Christmas, so.
Correct. Love it. Appreciate, Nate. If you missed it or came in late, we'll get that up on demand for you shortly, wherever you get your podcasts. You can just search out The Sports Bar. You'll find us. That includes the free-to-download Odyssey app. We have happy hour on the way next. More from yesterday's game. And right now, let's give away some free food here. Caller 5 at 866-4326 gets a $50 gift certificate to Livingston County Pizza Company and Gluten-Free Bakery, featuring one of Western New York's largest gluten-free menus. In addition to pizza, you can stop by for some of their legendary carrot cake, chocolate dreamboat cake, and handcrafted cookie selections. 212 Rochester Street in Avon, and they're now celebrating their 19th anniversary. Open Tuesday through Sunday. $50 gift certificate to Livingston County Pizza Company and Gluten-Free Bakery right now. Caller 585-866-4FAN. Good luck.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester is everywhere.
Debbie Supplies on Commercial Street in East Rochester, right off the 490. Heating, hardware, paint, plumbing, electrical, you name it, Debbie Supply has it. Plus a friendly, knowledgeable staff that can show you how to get that home improvement project done. Since 1957. Your next home improvement project, think outside the box and head on over to Debbie Supply, Commercial Street, East Rochester.
Inside out for folks who know what they're talking about. Gotta go to Debbie. Gotta go to Debbie Supply for that.
Think DWI laws are tough? Think again. The penalties just got worse. Even a DWAI carries 11 points. You need the best lawyer you can get. If you made the wrong choice, make the right choice. Fiondoc and Fiondoc. 244-8910.
Dashing through the snow to see the hottest girls. Dancing every night at the tally ho. I'll make your bobtail ring. My derriere is tight. I'll put it on your lap at the tally ho tonight.
It's the Tally Ho for the holidays. Open daily from noon till 2 a.m. The holiday party is Friday, December 20th.
The Tally Ho Gentlemen's Club, East Henrietta Road. What happens at the Tally Ho stays at the Tally Ho.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Football season is here. Gather your friends, root for your team, and grab a cold, crisp Yingling Traditional Lager or Yingling Flight for all the college and pro football games. Yingling Lager, a true, iconic, time-tested American classic. Yingling Flight, an easy-drinking, clean, and refreshing light option with only 95 calories. Either way, with Yingling Traditional Lager and Yingling Flight, you win. DG Yingling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please drink responsibly.
95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Bills winning means the nation wants to see a little more. They changed the game time. Coming up Sunday, Bills and Patriots now will kick off at 4:25. That'll be the national game on CBS. The Bills now 11-3, finally win in Detroit. Still 2 games back at Kansas City. Eric Wood says today, even though they're 2 back, the number 1 seed is not out of the question.
I think it certainly is on the table depending on how this Mahomes ankle injury shakes out. They're currently an underdog, according to Vegas, against Houston this week. So apparently they think that Mahomes may not be able to play. They play on Saturday too, I believe. So 1 less day of rest, but there's still a shot at it.
Week 15 concludes tonight. 2 games, the Bears and Vikings, the Falcons and Raiders. Terry Pegula flew to Montreal today to address the Sabres, who have dropped 10 in a row. Pegula giving everyone a vote of confidence. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
A colossal victory for the Bills on the road in Detroit as they emerge victorious 48-42 to improve to 11-3 on the season. They are alone in the 2nd spot in the AFC conference race.
Mike Danger.
I believe that they are the best team in the NFL. And Josh Allen, who is the odds-on favorite now to win league MVP, why not predict this team to be Super Bowl champs when it's all said and done?
Gene Battaglia.
This was as dominant a road win for Buffalo since a victory Monday for the Italian music. Bruno Martino.
Pay up, bitch. Pay my ass. That's a PMA. Pay my ass. I want my box of wine, and I want it in time for the holidays. I expect my payment no later than Thursday.
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
But do I have to... I know it's tradition in the sports bar to play Bruno Martino or Italian music. Do I have to play the Godfather theme again, Gino, to get my box of wine out of you? What's it going to take? We welcome you into Happy Hour. Thanks for joining us in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia, glad you're with us. Thanks for listening and making us part of your every afternoon routine. If you're listening locally at 95.7 FM or AM 950, maybe you're home or you got your smart device on, ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. Our stream is up. You can watch the sports bar on YouTube and on Twitch at The Fan Rochester. Don't forget to like and subscribe while you're there.
Yeah, you will get your box of wine, I suppose. You got a little busy this week. Got to do some more shopping, Danger. I'm not going to welch.
Got to do some more shopping. The times are on TikTok. Pitter patter. Let's get at it.
I missed your December 21st, buddy. There's lots of time. Ample time.
Oh, no.
Lots of time.
Yeah.
Maybe not if I got to order things online, but you can't order online a box of wine, though. I'm going to go pick one up for you, bud.
I appreciate that. Big win for the Buffalo Bills. We've been talking about it all afternoon. It is a 48-42 win in Detroit. Kind of weird. I mean, I think a lot of us going into the game saw a pathway for each team to kind of win, right? Last week we spent a lot of time talking about, hey, if the Bills keep Detroit sideline, their offense sideline, they run the football against a team that's been tough to run the football against, they have a chance. And I didn't really think that they were going to be able to do it based on what we saw against them in the Rams. The offensive line picked it up a notch. They were physical, and the scheme and the play calling by Joe Brady was exquisite. And they were able to run the football against the Lions. And the Lions are in rough shape defensively from an injury standpoint.
Yeah, and it's not like the idea that you didn't even target Amari Cooper, yet you put up 48 points. It wasn't the wide receivers. And Shakir did have a role yesterday. He scored a touchdown. But Nate talked about this, the idea that you can have Ty Johnson go over 100 yards on just simple wheel route concepts. The idea that you have Dalton Kincaid first game back. I kind of like that, too. I'm surprised he didn't get flagged for the little trash talk, but, it was a nice play to celebrate a little bit. So, just so diverse, this Buffalo Bills offense. And if we skip ahead here, we're allowed to talk about this in the sports bar, right? What's coming up for the Bills? Okay, games in Buffalo, cold and snow. Games in Buffalo, cold, I don't know, snow. Foxborough, cold again. And then the playoffs, cold, wherever you go. How's that going to look in the Super Bowl if the Bills get there? In New Orleans.
Indoors.
That offense, indoors.
These last 2 games, if that is sustainable, I don't know that it is, but if that is sustainable and if that is a byproduct of just playing football late in the season indoors. Why the hell didn't we build a dome over the new Highmark Stadium? We need to play indoor because that is them on a fast track. Just the way the offense moved. I mean, James Cook was just so fluid yesterday. I mean, just the misdirection and the burst and the speed in the open field. It was just fantastic. 14 carries, 105 yards. That averages out to 7.5 yards per carry. You mentioned it. I mean, a total of 197 yards on the ground between Allen, between Cook, between Johnson, between Ray Davis. 4 rushing touchdowns between Josh Allen and James Cook. Just a fantastic offensive performance. And once again, I think, Joe Brady, if you want to be critical, I don't know what they were doing at the end of the first half. If you want to nitpick, and Josh Allen even mentioned, hey, there's probably some plays there that we left on the field that we would like to have back. But the majority of that game, the offense was clicking.
But that's what we do. That's what they do. That's what we do. Like Allen said it himself. Oh, okay, why didn't they score 50? This is where we're at right now. But it's the interesting point, and I was floored to read this. And you just mentioned how this was like a neighborhood Goomba text chain thing, that now Sean McDermott becomes the 5th head coach in NFL history to win 11-plus games in 5 consecutive years. And you look at the list here, Danger. It's Landry. It's Belichick.
Tony Dungy.
And Andy Reid.
Yep. And Sean McDermott.
Okay, which guy hasn't accomplished the stuff that you're hoping that's the thing. And it's the same thing with Allen, but if this team can just ignore the noise and then you take a look at around the landscape here. Part of the story is Kansas City. That's worth discussing here. If you want to join in, 866-432-6866-4FAN. The idea that Kansas City now, along with Pittsburgh and Baltimore and Houston, they begin this this stretch of 3 games in 11 days. That's not healthy. That's brutal.
Could wear you down.
Yeah,
could wear you down. It'll be. I'm curious to see how Kansas City deals with the high ankle sprain of Patrick Mahomes. It wouldn't shock me if they give a giant middle finger to the NFL and say, you know what, we're going to shelve our guy. This is the end of the season. We know we're in, and we want him healthy for the playoffs. Screw your ratings. Sorry, Netflix. Christmas Day, you get Carson Wentz. You get Christmas Day, you get a 6'5", 230-pound quarterback out of North Dakota State. The blue-collar work ethic and Midwestern values. That is what you get on Christmas. I don't know we don't know yet if that's going to happen or not. But they're calling it a week-to-week injury. Very likely that you don't see Patrick Mahomes come this Saturday.
Well, why not? Why stop there? Like, could the Chiefs theoretically fall to the 3? They could. That would require Pittsburgh to win out and the Chiefs to lose out. But if they look at this danger, this is our opportunity to rest Mahomes for the rest of the year. And the worst-case scenario as the 2, we've got to go to Buffalo. And sure, we'll be forfeiting the first overall seed, which the bye comes with it. Yeah. But on the other hand, you could rest everybody here you want to coming down the stretch. They're discussing this. And I'm sure not only on Kansas City radio, but inside those walls, is it prudent to trot out there a Patrick Mahomes at 70%? Maybe he's not healing that way.
What else did we learn yesterday in the NFL, man? It felt like the Steelers were exposed a bit, the way that the Eagles just kind of had their way. I mean, long, sustained drives against Pittsburgh's defense. And the Eagles, to me, now look like the class of the NFC. Based on what we saw of Detroit, based on the injuries that Detroit is dealing with, man, they're a lot of fun. I actually feel really, really bad because I don't know that defense is going to be able to stop anybody with who they have left and who they're trotting out there due to all these injuries.
Does the AFC East next year of the 4 teams have 3 new head coaches? We already have 1, okay, with the Jets. Mike McDaniel, there is more and more chatter, Danger, that he's in trouble.
Can't beat a winning team.
No, they're 6-8. If they lose out at 6-11, I could see the head coach. Now, I think the flaw there is the way they're constructed. I just don't think that when it comes time for physical football in December. This is not a team that's built for that. But that's not a head coach that's getting the maximum amount of talent. You go into Houston, you lose that game. There's also chatter out of New England the way that Mr. Mayo threw his offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt, under the bus yesterday when I didn't, that game was on at the same time. We're all not focused on that, but it's worth noting because, well, amongst other things, this is the team that's coming to Western New York. Is it a one and done for Mr. Mayo? And I think the answer to that question is we'll dive into the Patriots a little bit this week. Seems like they might have something with Drake May, but do they really have any pieces around Drake May? And I'm including the head coach and the offensive coordinator, not to mention an offensive line, wide receivers, running back, all the stuff you need.
No, they don't. And for as tight as we believed the Lions game was going to be, I don't see that as the case against the Patriots. I mean, unless you're resting starters. I mean, if you're saying, hey, we're fine, we're not at that stage of the season. You're not going to see Josh Allen sit out a game against the Patriots in Week 16. He's playing, right? I mean, like, if he's playing, then I don't expect this to be a close game.
Well, and Sal Mayorana put this out there, DNC and others. You might have that question yourself. Why on earth would they flex this game we know isn't going to be competitive? And I'll flip it around with a little bit of history. They flexed the Patriots-Bills game when the Bills weren't really good. And the Patriots came in, and we all knew the Patriots were going to beat the Bills, and that they did. It was really ugly. Randy Moss, 4 touchdowns. And people wanted to tune in to watch greatness.
Yeah.
You're tuning in to watch Josh Allen do Josh Allen things. The score could be 28-0, and you're still watching because of Josh Allen.
Yeah. If at the pace that he is playing here the last 3 weeks, I mean, it is a historic pace by most metrics. And is that going to slow down because the Patriots are coming to Orchard Park? I don't think so. I mean, Joe Brady has inserted himself into the conversation for hot head coaching commodities here in the offseason. Be prepared to say goodbye because I think he's going to get a job.
Whoa. Not just interviews. You think he's gonzo?
I think he's getting a job.
Like a Jacksonville or?
I think he's getting a job. Yeah. Sure. Jacksonville. Every team is going to look for somebody like that. Every team wants their Ben Johnson, their Joe Brady. I don't know if you want Aaron Glenn anymore. I know that Aaron Glenn was a name, but based on how that defense performed, I know that they're injured. I know it's a hard thing to judge, but man.
Well, I think the story there is, and I feel bad for Lion fans because now no Montgomery, now all these starters are out. We went from, hey, this is a Super Bowl preview to, I would even question if they win that division, as crazy as that sounds. Minnesota wins tonight, then Minnesota and Detroit are even in the standing.
Crazy Sunday of football, and man, we get to look forward to it again. You mentioned it, the Bills got flexed into the late afternoon window, so we'll have pregame coverage for you starting at noon here on The Fan. We have some Mavericks hockey to get to on Sunday afternoon as well, but we will get you that coverage of the Bills and the Patriots from Orchard Park Sunday evening. And we have 2 games tonight. Jeez, Week 15 comes to an end with the Vikings, as you mentioned, hosting the Bears, and then the Raiders hosting the Falcons.
Yeah.
Desmond Ridder. Desmond Ridder in prime time. I guess when you have the opportunity to flex Josh Allen into a slot, you do it because you have to counterbalance Desmond Ridder in a primetime game.
Your ABC. Like, wouldn't you have been curious to see what Michael Penix would have looked like tonight, too?
Sure.
Well, we're going to get old man Kurt out there.
Yeah.
Did the return of primetime Kurt? I don't know.
In the NFC South, I'm nervous, man. I'm scared. I think the Bucs are going to scare. I think the Bucs are scary good. I think the Bucs. I think Baker Mayfield.
They're 8-6.
I think he's playing with. Yeah, they're 8-6.
They're 8-6,
and 2 of those 8 wins came against Philadelphia and Detroit. Baker Mayfield, don't give an F. That guy is playing with a chip. And it might cost them because he can be reckless. There's a little bit of Jameis in Baker Mayfield where he can be careless with the football. But, man, to see what they did to the Chargers, a physical team.
Yeah, that was a little eye-opening. And Tampa at 8-6, this would be the pathway, right, if it were today. Green Bay is the 6 at home. Okay, Green Bay always has trouble in Florida for whatever reason. You get by that. Then Detroit, you got to go to, and then Philadelphia.
It's a winnable. It's a winnable path.
Yeah.
They've shown that they can beat those teams. They're not afraid of anybody. I kind of like Tampa. I know I said a few weeks ago that they're going to win the division. I'll go a little further. I think they could be in the NFC Championship game.
I think they have one similarity to the Bills, and that is, hey, it's 3 guys out of the backfield. Like when you have a Bucky Irvin, you can trot out. Syracuse's Sean Tucker. I mean, they have
good.
fresh legs. Yeah,
They're all good. I mean, for all the talk we had last week of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery being a great backfield in the NFC and the NFL, you got to look at Tampa's backfield and say that rivals it. I mean, Bucky Irving has been sensational. White is great. Yeah, you have Tucker if you absolutely need to go third string, but you've got a full complement of talent in that backfield. It's pretty remarkable. And in the AFC, I mean, when you look at how it all shakes out right now, I mean, the Bills are you've got 4 teams basically. You've got the Bills, the Chiefs, the Lions, and the Eagles all as your favorites to make the Super Bowl. I can't discount Baltimore. I can't do it. Not yet. Not yet. And I know that a lot of people say, why would you give them that grace? They always seem to choke. Lamar is, not somebody that's gotten this team to the Super Bowl. The meltdown is coming. Maybe.
Well, is there a psychology to it in this way? And hear me out for a second. Josh Allen, I believe, sewed up the MVP. Hard for me to imagine the scenario where all of a sudden it's going to fall apart for Buffalo these last 3 weeks in that regard. Well, the guy who's going to finish second is quarterbacking that team you're talking about. Is that a motivational fact?
Yes. Yes, it is. Because I guarantee you right now in Lamar Jackson, his mind, he's the MVP.
He threw for 5 touchdowns yesterday, and this is great. The Ravens put out something today congratulating Lamar Jackson about 250 yards, 5 touchdowns, 50 yards rushing, first time in NFL history. And then the reader context thing happens. Where you get flagged. This is the Ravens messing this up. No, Josh Allen did that against the Patriots too. It's fantastic.
He's gonna play in the postseason with a chip on his shoulder, and I think that's when Lamar is probably best, when he's got a chip. I think a lot of us are better when we have a chip on our shoulder. I'm still nervous about the Ravens. It's a long way of me saying I'm still nervous about what the Ravens.
Well,
can be in the
whatever.
postseason.
Yeah, this is not going to be in the glory days of the Bills. Danger. Like honestly, the first 2 rounds before the Super Bowl weren't that hard. They really were. I mean, the AFC Championship game, when you would get to it, okay, there's Elway, there's Marino, there was Joe Montana, but you were always at home when you're in Miami. No, whatever that first playoff game is going to be, even Denver. I was like, oh, come on, Colts. Jonathan Taylor, really?
Jonathan Taylor, really? Anthony Richardson, come on. Just we need you to be a little bit better than that. You're in the NFL now, kid. What is up? Tomorrow we've got a jam-packed show, as we do every Tuesday here in the Sports Bar. We'll talk more Bills with Matt Perino covering the team for the Syracuse Post-Standard. Mike Leone, Coach Leone of the Rochester Americans,
he is
coming in studio.
Coming in studio. We got a lot. Okay, can we have a border? When it comes to hockey, make sure that we're talking only Amerks here.
We have a 4-game winning streak to talk about with the Amerks.
Yeah, all on the road too, I might add.
Yeah. They've been fantastic on the road this season. They absolutely scrubbed the floor with Belleville, scoring 7 on Friday, dropping 8 on them on Saturday. So the Amerks are hot right now, and head coach Mike Leone stops by tomorrow afternoon right around 4:25. And we'll talk Week 16, fantasy football playoffs. Michael F. Florio stops by the Sports Bar as he does every Tuesday. We'll talk a little Bills with him as well, as he's paying close attention, of course.
Wonder how many people need tonight. Do you need tonight, Danger? One league I've already read.
Oh, I'm embarrassed of my performance. Yeah. I'm getting humiliated by the neighbors, by the neighborhood. I mean,
the Goombas are
I'm terrible in my Goomball league this year.
Oh, no.
Very top-heavy in the Goomball league this year. We have one manager, Joey Dryersheets, who really is not engaged. Just doesn't want any part of fantasy football. And so he finished last season. He had to host the draft. He wasn't happy about having to host the draft. But he was a gracious host. Unbelievable. This season has not gone well. 1 win for Joey Dryer Sheets. And because he has 1 win in a 10-team league, and we're not serious, it's a fun league. But everybody's got like a winning record because everybody's just beating up on Joey Dryer Sheets. He's got 1 win. And then there's me with my 4 or 5 wins or whatever I have. Not a great season for your hero. Fantasy was not kind to me this year. Really should spend more time paying attention to Michael F. Florio. If I would have done that, maybe my outcome would have been different.
Michael F. Florio, NFL Network, joining us as if you find out, okay, we are on to the semifinals, well, then you want to listen tomorrow around 4:45, get some fantasy advice from the expert himself.
Well, yeah, one thing that I know we can take from what Andy Behrens was saying to us on Friday, the Bengals keep winning. That's good for fantasy.
It's absolutely good, and that's a team right now, Danger, because I'm looking at the standings, and they've yet to put up the X next to Denver. They've yet to put up the X next to the Chargers. That's because Cincinnati at 6-8.
They're farting around.
They are farting around.
Yeah.
The Bengals are fun. They're farting around. Granted, they're going to be playing in the division here. Yeah, Joe Burrow. If they were winning the division, we'd be having a conversation about him being the MVP.
No question.
Here.
His numbers have been fantastic this year. Before we get to a round of shots, I mean, shame on me. We've gone the entirety of happy hour, and we didn't get a chance to really celebrate a Victory Monday the way we traditionally do here in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia, and that includes the playing of some Bruno Martino on the Fan Rochester. I feel like I want to call an audible. Maybe we switch it up rest of the season from Bruno Martino and just go with the Godfather theme.
No.
No? Mafia.
No.
Mafia.
No.
Why?
Because you don't think this guy has connections, Bruno Martino? How did he get his recording contract? Or you don't think that some mafioso guy was like, my wife likes you, you play a little. Yeah. No, like that hits. The piano tones, everything else.
You think so?
Yeah, no, the Godfather theme is stressful. What are you kidding? This is stressful. I'm going to get wax music here.
Yeah. It is. This is what the Bills Mafia is supposed to be, right? We're going to impose our will on you. We're going to give you an offer you can't refuse. Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes. Ooh, we might need a poll. Peter, put it to the poll. Victory Monday, better song. Godfather theme, or anything from the Bruno Martino catalog. Italian Carousel Sunday mornings on the Fan Rochester.
Make sure you call up and request Bruno Martino.
I would say to you to call them up on your way to the stadium, but they flex the game, so it'll be
flex the game again. Yeah, it's going to be another long day, Bills.
All right, so Sunday morning, 8 to 10, you get your Italian music fix, and then you get ready.
If you're wondering, well, is this the last time we'll hear the music this year? Well, let's assume the Bills beat the Patriots. Safe assumption, right? Dare I say no? No, we will be here next Monday because if this is the special year, we're not taking off on Monday, December 23rd. No.
Yeah, we'll be here for as much of the holiday as we can. That week between Christmas and New Year's will be tricky, but we will be back right after the New Year. So much going on. I mean, the college football playoff starts on Friday.
Yes. So
this is the beginning of football nirvana this week.
Right. Like PJ Glasser will join us Wednesday where we broke down some of the matchups, but you get the actual bowl games. You're going to have football every night here soon enough.
All right. We got to get to a round of shots.
Yeah, the one sport we don't talk about is the NBA. Not at least this time of year, but you might have missed it. We had a game that really is unlike anyone before. We'll set you up for the night in the NBA. Yes, that was Terry Pegula going up to Montreal. We will explain this whole story, what happened up there as the Sabres get ready for the Canadiens as they've lost 10 in a row, have the Buffalo Sabres. The Amerks not on a losing streak. In fact, they're winning. We'll talk a little Amerks hockey. And also, Danger, change coming up here to our programming schedule. Coming up in the new year. This is now official. We'll let you in on the news here.
A round of shots on the way next year in the sports bar. It's Danger and Battaglia on the Fan.
Why endure another boring morning when you can have Maggie and Perloff spice things up? Download the Odyssey app and listen to 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan Rochester when you wake up, because mornings are better with sports. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Bills got flex this week. Going from 1 o'clock kickoff now will be at 4:25 at Highmark against the Patriots. Buffalo now at 11-3 following the win in Detroit. Josh Allen looks to be the favorite for MVP. Says it's another way to win.
Well, again, we're just trying to find ways to win, and this is going to help us in the long run. But still, a lot of things that we can learn from this game, take away. Still, offensively, I think we need to find some more. There's too many plays we left out there. So I know it's to nitpick a game like that where you score 48 sounds kind of dumb, but still feel like we left some out there.
Week 15 concludes tonight with 2 games, the Bears and Vikings, also the Falcons and the Raiders. Terry Pegula flew to Montreal today to address the Sabres, who have dropped 10 in a row. Pegula giving everyone a vote of confidence. The Sabres sending back Devin Levi to the Amerks. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
Odyssey is your home for all the audio that matters to you. Download the Odyssey app today to listen to the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
Happy Hour continues in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia. Let's get to a round of shots.
Yeah, so now we enter. We're talking all this fun stuff with the Bills. Now we get to the Sabres portion.
What's more uplifting, talking about the Sabres or
taxes?
Yeah. Well, this is,
Let's
talk about home appraisals or the Sabres. What's more uplifting?
Well, this is also concerning. 10 losses in a row, and Lindy Ruff seems he's out of answers. Says this is the toughest solve he's been around.
That right there, they have broken Lindy Ruff. This organization broke a once proud coach, player, and man. Lindy Ruff is broken.
The toughest solve I've been around. Translated, I don't have any idea to fix this.
Doesn't have an answer.
No.
It doesn't have an answer. There is no answer. There's only one answer. Sell the team. I'm going to continue to say it. It's going to make people sick. But I don't know that there's another answer, because this ain't working. And I don't care if the billionaire owner took time out of his day to go to Montreal and deliver a vote of confidence. It doesn't mean anything. And it's not like it hasn't been done before. It doesn't change anything.
Right. And he only shows up when we're getting this part of I don't need my owner like Jerry Jones, okay?
Right.
But is that going to rally the troops, really? Didn't work years ago when you're in the middle of an 18-game losing streak, and once that was done, you fired the head coach anyways.
18-game losing streak with a soccer coach behind the bench.
The 10-game losing streak, by the way, is the longest in the NHL this season.
Prestige.
Surpassing the 9-game winless streak that San Jose began the season with. Just so happens, by the way, that San Jose was the last team Buffalo beat. That was back on November the 23rd. Good times. Sabres in Montreal tomorrow night, but listen anyways.
My God.
Devin Levi, by the way, 36 of 40 shots he saved in that loss to Toronto. He got sent back today to the Amerks with Levi up. Felix Sandstrom got his 4th win of the season. The Amerks routing Belleville 8-2. Amerks going 3 for 6 on the power play, scoring with a man advantage in each of their last 3 games.
Nice.
Rochester looks to make it 5 in a row as Syracuse comes to town for the first of 2 Wednesday night. They're also here on Friday. Head coach Michael Leone joins us in studio tomorrow in the sports bar.
Yeah, we're going to remain isolated. We're in our Rochester bubble. We really don't want anything to do with the parent club. We're going to just focus on the positives here, and the positives are the Amerks are playing good. They're playing really well, and to drop 8 before after dropping 7 on Belleville, 4 straight going for 5, they're in a good place. Can't wait to talk to Coach tomorrow.
It's just amazing though. Like I thought, silly me, you bring back Lindy Ruff and all these problems that you have over the years where this disease in Buffalo and everything falls apart. I don't know, just venting. Is there a problem with the product in the NBA, Danger? I love it how the NBA is pointing out, hey, record in and out of threes last night between Golden State and Dallas. Great. Well, on the other side, let's take, for example, this game between Chicago and Charlotte Friday night. The two teams combined to miss 75 three-point attempts. The most in NBA history. Charlotte went 3 for 46. The Bulls 14 of 51.
Oh, man.
Tonight, 6 games in the NBA. Philadelphia's at Charlotte. The Bulls are up in Toronto. For those who care, the NBA Cup final is tomorrow. Milwaukee against Oklahoma City.
All right, I'll say this, and I know that the ratings won't reflect it, but I do kind of dig the matchup between Milwaukee and Oklahoma City. I know that the NBA Cup is this manufactured event, and last year I feel like it grabbed our attention because the Lakers were playing in it, right? You had the Lakers against
I don't remember.
I know, I do remember because it was a young team. It was an upstart team. And
was it Orlando?
No. I was just I feel horrible for forgetting who they beat, but I just remember the Lakers, LeBron, drawing some eyeballs. And you have Giannis and a young upstart Oklahoma City team. It's not LeBron, but it's not bad. I don't think it's going to be
It was Indiana.
That's what it was. That's right. I'm sorry. Well,
no, I couldn't remember either.
Yeah,
dude.
easy to forget the Pacers, even though they are another one of those kind of young upstart teams. This NBA Cup, I think, is better than what they had before, which was nothing. It adds a little bit of excitement, just a little bit.
Is it because for the casual fan where you just kind of float in, I just want to watch a game, I can't follow it. If you said, Gene, explain the NBA Cup to me. It's a bunch of games, and we'll play a champion.
Yeah,
I couldn't really give you the details.
I get it, and I'll admit, this year I didn't follow it as closely as I did last year. Like last year, I could tell you, okay, I know which days they're playing NBA Cup games, and I know the standings, and I know who's coming out of each group. And the Knicks losing to the Hawks was relevant, right? Because they lose to the Hawks, and that eliminates them from the NBA Cup. The Hawks advance, but they don't advance that far. Milwaukee gets by them. And Oklahoma City advances in the West. So you've got this manufactured tournament that I actually think is kind of good for the game. I don't think the ratings are going to reflect it this year. If they did get a kiss last year, but otherwise these December NBA games before you get to Christmas are kind of meaningless.
Well, I think they're meaningless ultimately for what are we really playing for? The Lakers put up a banner, and we all mock them.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, the players get a little more money.
Yeah.
Oh, good for them. I'm happy. They just, what exactly they need? More money. Fantastic. What if there was like some sort of prize like, hey, you get the golden ticket into the actual postseason?
Do you think if Milwaukee loses to Oklahoma City, do you think Giannis will view it as a failure?
Oh, no. Of course not. Just one step in the process.
Yeah, I mean, we all
did you get
up.
a promotion this year, Danger? No, you didn't. So should you view 2024 as a failure?
I mean, I feel.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Oh, God, now I'm under pressure. I don't.
Yes or no, Danger? Did you get a promotion?
No, I didn't get a promotion, Gene.
Do you get a promotion every year on your job? No, right? So every year you work is a failure. Yes or no? No. Every year you work towards something, towards a goal, right? Which is to get a promotion, to be able to take care of your family, to be able, provide the house for them or take care of your parents. You work towards a goal. It's not a failure. It's steps to success, And if you've never, I don't want to make it personal. So there's always steps to it, Michael Jordan played 15 years. Won 6 championships. The other 9 years was a failure? That's what you're telling me? No, I'm asking you a question. Yes or no?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, exactly. So why you asking me that question? It's a wrong question. There's no failure in sports.
Because you were one facing
there's good days, bad days. Some days you are able to be successful. Some days you're not. Some days it's your turn. Some days it's not your turn. And that's what sports is about. You don't always win. Some other people's gonna win. And this year somebody else is gonna win. Simple as that.
That was not a bad question to ask, and the head coach was fired a couple days after he made those comments. So congratulations. That loser energy just permeated throughout the building. They had to get rid of the head coach after the 1 seed got bounced by an 8 seed. So, yes, it was a failure. And go Thunder. I can't root for that guy.
No, there's another story, too, that New Orleans is shopping another favorite here in the sports bar, too.
Oh.
Yeah.
The guy that wants to just be back to his
Zion
just needs to be Zion.
Yeah.
When Zion loves this game, but when Zion isn't feeling like Zion can't play Zion's game. So Zion is just hoping that Zion can get back to full health, that Zion can get back onto the court, so that fans of Zion can see Zion in all of his Zion-ness, with his team.
Physically, I'm fine. Now it's just a matter of when I feel like Zion. I know the atmosphere I'd be in based off like the playoff experience. So now it's just a matter of when I feel like Zion. I don't know how else to say it. It just sucks. I love this game.
No, you don't. He has yet to be on the court this year. They're 5-21.
Jesus.
So and they already paid him, so I don't know exactly what market there would be.
Be patient. Okay, Zion just needs to be Zion. If Zion feels like being Zion, then Zion will be on Zion's court, and Zion will play this game that Zion can play for Zion's team in New Orleans.
Programming change here on the Fan Rochester,
Tell me.
with the Infinity Sports Network. Change in the midday. Jim Rome will be moving on to that time slot. He's going over to Westwood 1 and going in the afternoon slot, which means, hey, if you want to hear Romey, you're going to have to go online. But good news is we got something cool coming in noon to 1 on the Fan Rochester. A guy who was he's been on our airways here before in the Flower City, the Rich Eisen Show.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Not a bad trade at all.
Yeah, I like it. Lead anchor for the NFL Network, so we'll talk plenty of football, I'm sure, with Eisen. And we get an hour, really, because we have One Bills Live at the same time that Eisen would be on, correct?
Correct. So we get the 1 hour, and then, on the off chance that the boys, Browning and Tasker need a day off, you'll get 3 hours of Eisen.
Yeah, not bad. I love Romey. Love it. I mean, I know he's not everybody's brand of vodka, but I wouldn't be in this studio if I didn't discover that show in the infancy of sports talk radio and find it just wildly entertaining and just different than the conversations you would have. I mean, it was really an introduction to sports talk radio for me. So I'll always be a fan of Rome and of that show and his influence within what we do. But this is obviously a business decision for Romey. He's going to do what's best for Romey.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He's a Hall of Famer, and we wish him well. Yeah, picking up Rich Eisen, that's going to be a lot of fun, especially for a football town.
No more Crapchester jokes?
Actually, I don't think
he just completely.
No, he
just wiped us off the face of the earth.
Right, that would be the one thing. When he came back on the one day on our station, I'm like, okay, here comes the Crapchester blast. Nope.
He's Don Draper in the scene where they're in the elevator, and he just goes, "I don't think about you at all." He doesn't think about Rochester at all. Just forget it, Crapchester. You're never getting a tour stop. I'm never setting foot in your city.
That's it. All over with. Finally, you would think a player would hear from their team before they got traded, but that's not always the case. Here's the story of Nestor Cortez. He was in Las Vegas celebrating his 30th birthday. Fun night out, sleeping in. Apparently had a good time, Danger, because when he woke up, his phone was lit up like a Christmas tree with texts and messages. Imagine having that hangover to find out you've been traded to the Milwaukee Brewers.
There's probably a thing there where he was so disconnected with his team and knew that this was probably coming, where it's like, all right, they're trying to get a hold of me. I don't care. I'm not picking up.
It could have been that. I would think that his agent gave a heads up, but after that we talk about how Devin Williams, how that homer he gave up to Alonso. Cortez was out there. I thought that was a mistake to put him out there. A guy who hadn't pitched in how many weeks, and you're going to bring him in that situation. I didn't blame him at all for giving up the grand slam to Freddie Freeman. I blame that actually on his manager for putting him in there.
Yeah. Well, he'll be in Milwaukee next year, but by then he'll work off the ill effects of that 30th birthday party in Vegas. I haven't been to Vegas in too long, man. I am overdue. I'm nervous. I'm nervous that if I go to Vegas, it'll look completely different than the last time I was there 20 years ago, and I'm really nervous what it will do to me the next time I go.
Okay. First part, you shouldn't be. You just know that it's going to look different.
Yeah.
Right? And then you go in. And second of all, do you really care what it'll do to you?
I guess I'm going to go in knowing this is going to ruin me. I'm going to get wrecked. Vegas is going to wreck me. If you hear of me going to Vegas, just know that's the modus operandi is that I will be getting wrecked.
It's 2026 where the Bills on this rotation play out there. 2020 we missed out, but 2026 Bills in Vegas. Can't call it a new stadium now, but new to the Bills, I suppose.
When's the next time there's a Super Bowl in Vegas? Have they hosted a Super Bowl yet?
Not yet, no.
So that's coming up.
That's coming up.
Okay. We'll keep our options open here. Take a break and come back with last call. You can join us at 866-4FAN. have the final say in today's show at 585-866-4326.
You're listening to the Danger and Battaglia. 95.
Welcome back to We the Hobby. You know what time it is? A little something special today. Oh, Nick.
Is that a corn?
That ain't no corn.
What?
That's a super corn!
Oh, wow.
Visit us at 23 Arlington Street in Rochester.
On the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Last call on the sports bar at 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Quickly, we go to John in Rochester. Hey, buddy.
Hey, guys, we're in Bills heaven, no doubt about it. You know, I'm kind of worried, though, about that trap game against the Jets. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be pumped up. That's going to be his last hurrah. You know, beating a Super Bowl team, it's going to be first on his mind. And the other thing yesterday, the Dan Campbell made one of the biggest mistakes I've ever seen in pro football as a coach. Onside kick with 12 minutes to go, and they had the momentum going. Unbelievable.
Yeah, first, I don't think you have anything to worry about Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that was against Jacksonville, warm weather. I can hear what you're saying in theory, but I think it's going to be a little bit different when it's going to be cold and you're going up against the Buffalo defense there a little bit. And, yeah, about Campbell, John, 8% of the time you're going to recover an onside kick. That was Josh Allen in his head. That was him, Campbell, not having any confidence whatsoever in his defense.
That said, though, if that goes – if the onside kick doesn't get returned by Mac Hollins to inside the 10-yard line.
So you're giving up 20 yards essentially, right? Is that really – well, no, I'm going to take that back. You're 30 yards. Yeah.
You're inside the 10. It's a first-and-goal situation. You score in the next play, and it's like, that was not the desired outcome. Even if it's a shorter if you have bad field position, you can get a stop out of your defense. That's the hope at least. I kind of get what he was going for there because your defense wasn't stopping Allen, and you'd stopped him once out of 9 attempts, legitimate attempts so far at that point of the game. You're trying to save clock. You're trying to gain a possession back because you know you're going to need it. I think that the play that swung the game and that really gave the Bills the win was the St. Brown fumble. That was almost not a fumble, right? They almost got that wrong. Like, how do you not see that as a fumble? They got it right. Milano gets the recovery. Bills get the extra possession. Bills get the win.
Real quick, with the game being flexed, the announcers did not get flexed. So we're going to get Ian Eagle, Charles Davis, and Evan Washburn, our buddy, as Nance and Romo and Tracy are staying down in Miami for the Niners-Dolphins.
Oh, wait, you mean they prefer to call a game from South Florida rather than come to Western New York? Shocking.
Maybe Nance has already done his homework on that game. I highly doubt that.
Yeah. Tomorrow, we've got a great lineup for you, as we do every Tuesday. Matt Perino covering the Bills for the Syracuse Post-Standard. Rochester Americans head coach Mike Leone, as the team is on a heater, looking for 5 straight on Wednesday against Syracuse. And Michael F. Flory to talk some fantasy football playoffs from the NFL Network, all stopping by tomorrow afternoon. We invite you to join us between 3 and 6 right here on the Fan Rochester or in the free-to-download Odyssey app. If you miss Nate Geary from the Buffalo Bills Radio Network, find that wherever you pod when you search out the Sports Bar. JR Sport Brief is next on The Fan.
You're listening to The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on 95.